As a domestic disturbance call in Greenfield Monday night ended with a man dead. State Police Sergeant John Perrine says 3 Greenfield police officers got to the home and were greeted by a man named Ted Fiesel, who answered the door, shut it, and then confronted the officers with a gun when they opened the door again.
The officers were able to discharge their firearms. 3 officers fired shots, wounding the man. And then after the man went down, they immediately went into life-saving mode and attempted medical care to try to save the man's life.
Fiesel was rushed to a hospital where he later died. The 3 officers who fired their weapons were all wearing body cameras and not injured. Indiana Task Force 1 is on their way to Texas to help with rescue efforts there following the massive and devastating flooding.
This type of event, because they're all very, very daunting. We have a lot of missing people still, so we're going to go in and do our best to search and help the locals recover those folks so we can return them to their families for hopefully for closure.
That's Jay Settergren, who leads the task force. He says 49 members of his team are on their way to San Antonio this morning. At least 110 people have died, including dozens of children. Many more are still missing. $3.09 per gallon is the statewide average for gas today, says Gas Buddy. The average here in Indianapolis is $3.01. The cheapest gas in the state is in Evansville at $2.85 a gallon. The Indiana Fever are in action today for a day game. It appears Caitlin Clark is back in the lineup. She participated in practice for the 2nd day in a row as she returns from an injured groin.
It's going to be fun to get back out there, hopefully, and just feel things again. I think, I don't know what type of minutes I'm going to get will look like, but it's obviously hard sitting out and watching for a few weeks, so I'm definitely excited to get back out there.
The Fever play the Golden State Valkyries at noon Eastern today from Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Clark also drafting her all-star lineup last night, which include Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, both teammates. Good morning to Matt Bayer. How's traffic?
What's up, Jared? Looking at southbound 6570 crash coming out of the north split. Northbound 6570 stop and go right now from Michigan Street into the north split, and westbound 70 slow from rural over to flyover ramp to Meridian Penn. Northbound 65 drags before Raymond into the south split because of road construction. Crash clear on the west side. Westbound 70 is Sam Jones. No traffic there either. Traffic sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage. For a limited time, get 60% off and free UPS shipping at rapidradios.com. Use code RADIO for an extra 5% off. I'm Matt Baer with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
Mike loves summer in Indy, but he hates to paint. So he called Rhino Shield.
Our home is basically a contemporary, and we just started noticing that the paint was just fading and just looked like garbage. We had received a postcard from Rhino Shield, and we decided to take a look at it.
Rhino Shield's formulated for our specific climate here in Indiana.
The process with Rhino Shield and their crew, they were just very conscientious. We had problems in the past with painters. They leave debris and everything. Well, we didn't have that with Rhino Shield.
Way better than paint, backed by a 25-year warranty. And right now, get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price.
The thing about Rhino Shield, the heat gain has been reduced, and we save $70 a month. You don't hear that about any type of paint.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino!
Paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Now the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Good morning. Partly cloudy skies, humid with some scattered thunderstorms possible this afternoon. Today's high 86. Quieting down tonight, partly cloudy and muggy, a low of 69. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Kendall Casey starts now.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
So the theme of today's show.
Oh, we have a theme.
A lot of times on the program, we'll have like a thread that runs through the show.
Love a good theme.
It'll be different people, different circumstances, but sort of a thread.
Got it.
That binds everyone together. And the theme of today's show, by the way, it is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob, that's Casey. Is whether it is a state, a federal, or a local level, is politicians whose choices were their own, whose words were their own, whose actions were their own, and yet they do not want to be held accountable to follow through on the things that they have said and done.
Got it. So they don't want to own it.
And we will start today in our little adventure for the next 3 hours in our nation's capital with the President of the United States.
Okay.
And
so
yesterday, Casey, he said something because when we were on the air, they were having the cabinet meeting. And we had pondered on this #1 highly rated juggernaut of a radio program. How will Trump handle the Epstein revelation?
Yeah, because you knew he was going to be asked about it.
That's right. How will he handle the fact that his attorney general and now FBI directors appear to be in direct contradiction of the things that they have said for years in some cases about Jeffrey Epstein, evidence that existed, and the pledge to release said evidence to the public.
Right. How do you think they handled it?
Well, I think he handled it even worse than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
This audio that we're about to play for you, I sat with my mouth open, and whatever the worst possible, in your mind, whatever the worst possible response Trump could have had, this has to have one-upped it. So the stage is they're sitting around the table after the cabinet meeting. The press then gets to ask questions. Trump is sitting to the left of Pam Bondi, the Attorney General.
Yeah, Marco Rubio sitting between them.
And she gets asked a question about Epstein. And before she can even answer the question, Donald Trump jumps in and says this.
Yeah, sure. If
Pam, could I just interrupt for a second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February...
Pause. Jeffrey Epstein ran, arguably, the most high-profile human sex trafficking operation. Doesn't mean it was the most elaborate, but it very well could have been. Doesn't mean it was the biggest. It very well could have been. But in terms of high profile, the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking empire, organization, whatever you want to call it, of young, oftentimes underage women, forcing them into, some of them who have detailed the accounts of sexual abuse and, quite frankly, slavery, is a gigantic story. Because human sex trafficking is a major issue, not only in this country, but across the world. One of the major reasons Donald Trump successfully has convinced Americans the border needs to be shut down is because of the highly documented, numerous accounts of human sex slavery taking place. This is a massive global issue. And the fact that he would act as though she was asked about some low-level offender in a county jail somewhere, there for stealing a candy bar or marijuana possession, is, I don't even know how to describe the feeling of how insulting that is, of how dismissive that is, of how probably heartbreaking that is for parents of victims of human sex trafficking, of people who have been victims of human sex trafficking? That's one part of the equation. The second part is, Mr. President, you and the people that were your top surrogates during the campaign made Jeffrey Epstein, and full transparency as to what happened with Jeffrey Epstein, oftentimes a major issue on the campaign trail.
Correct. That was his narrative.
You don't get, after literally years of pledging to do something, and you, no one holding a gun to your head, nobody forcing you to, making it an issue, then get to act like it is a non-issue and that you are offended that people are asking about an issue that you said was an issue. How? I mean, I get that nobody tells Trump to do anything, but how that was what he thought was the appropriate response to people, the media, the press, the public, wanting to know, including major supporters in his own orbit.
Yeah.
This is not some left media conspiracy. These are the hardcore Trump people who are very upset about this. And for him to have that response was a slap in the face to so many people, Casey.
Yeah, he did come to the defense of Pam Bondi. He was trying to be very dismissal. It shows that he's very loyal to her. It was also somewhat of a political shield to her, although she did go on to answer some of the questions. I thought it was really interesting. Part of her answer, she said, I don't know. I'll look into it.
Do we have that? I realize I made Kevin stop that because I wanted to comment on Trump. Do we? Part of her answer's in there, right?
It is.
February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing.
Stop talking. Stop talking.
Wait a second. Wait. Can you imagine? I know tens of thousands of people have home security systems that have cameras. When they installed your home camera system, at any point where they were like, yeah, there'll just be a random minute missing every day. Better hope it's not when the guy commits the crime.
Right. And if you found that out, you would get to work fixing it.
Your local
right away.
Home security system can set up a camera system that records and doesn't miss a minute, but a federal prison system just has a random minute missing, and it's been that way for 25 years. And they're like, it's just normal. That's just how it operates. There's just time missing. And it just, happens to be crucial piece of the puzzle on when the guy killed himself.
So this has been a horrible rollout of the information. Obviously, there's been so many mistakes, beginning with her and all those influencers and the binder.
We got to get to PBS because I have strong feelings about this. But next hour, let's go save that audio of her, Kevin, because I want to play that again top of next hour because she said several completely ridiculous things.
Well, and we also have to talk about why Donald Trump is changing this message? I mean, he is signaling to his base that he does not want to answer questions about this anymore.
Yeah. All right.
Why?
So we will get to this again, top of next hour. When we come back, though, we have to talk about PBS. I have so many strong feelings about what's going on with public broadcasting.
All right. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Historic flooding.
This is a 100-year catastrophe.
Lives shattered.
Dedicated, searching for every single one of the children.
It's horrible. I have grandchildren that I couldn't imagine them flowing down a river.
Support Texas flood relief efforts by going to SALArmyEDS.org. Whatever you can spare will help.
It is undescribable and catastrophic.
From 93.
This is a national emergency.
WIBC.
Are you struggling with bad feet? Hi, this is Phoebe, and at the Good Feet store, we hear a lot about foot, knee, hip, and back pain. I'd like you to hear what Kelsey, a kinesiologist, has to say about the Good Feet Arch Support System.
As an exercise specialist, I've seen all kinds of things that people try to put in their shoes to get out of pain. What I really like about the Good Feet system is that they support all 4 arches in the foot.
So, did you know you had 4 arches in each foot? Most shoes and inserts only support 1. Maybe that's the reason all the remedies you've tried in the past just didn't work.
When the foot's placed in the ideal position, everything else up the kinetic chain works better. You have better balance, more energy, you're gonna feel better. Being able to move freely and out of pain means everything to me, and good movement starts with the feet.
We're located in Castleton by the Fashion Mall or in Greenwood, just off the 65. Learn more at goodfeet.com. Good Feet Arch Supports are HSA and FSA eligible. Book an appointment for your free personalized fitting at goodfeet.com or just stop in. Walk-ins are welcome. Helping people live pain-free, 2 feet at a time.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing, must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business. Powering possibilities.
Now through July 21st, new customers can get started with 300 megabit internet and Security Edge for $69 a month for 24 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, find out how to get a $500 prepaid card for your business. Call and switch to Comcast Business today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
Big Joe here for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical.
With a B&W Premier Club membership, you'll stay ahead of breakdowns and costly repairs. Our members get routine maintenance, priority scheduling, and exclusive discounts, saving you money and keeping your family comfortable all season long. Visit bplusw.com or call 317-214-0108 for more information.
B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical, your American Standard dealer since 1961.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Andy Moore's summer tent sale in Avon. 4 days only, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday. You'll find more savings, more selection, more than 1,000 used cars priced to move, plus our lowest lease deals of the summer. Shop Andy Moore, Avon, Nissan, Kia, Toyota, and Volkswagen, all packed under one tent on Rockville Road, East U.S. Highway 36. Get more for your money, only at Andy Moore Avon and online at andymore.com.
About the river of tears for public broadcasting, because this is, look, I love a lot of people in our local media, and many of them do wonderful work, but this is just completely ridiculous. It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. That's Casey. So if you're not aware, public broadcasting here in Indiana, just like public broadcasting across, well, let's start with Indiana. The state of Indiana cut its subsidy to public broadcasting. There are 17 public broadcasting entities, I believe, across the state of Indiana between TV and radio. And the state was subsidizing that. You and I, our tax money,
Taxpayers.
were collectively subsidizing them to the tune of about $3.65 million.
$3.675 million.
Thank you. I was close.
You
right?
were very close.
Pretty close. I like people always.
You
laugh
were
at this.
there.
People always like Rob doesn't read stuff. I read plenty of the
I
stuff.
read
Yeah,
books, Rob.
I do not read books. I read so much stuff that is non-book related. And then under executive order from Trump, the federal money to public broadcasting entities across the country is also largely going away. And so as a result, public broadcasting in the state of Indiana has announced that it is laying off several of its more high-profile reporters, investigators, etc. And there has just been numerous media outlets running stories, commentary on social media on this, about this, what a horrible event that this is, that because the governments have cut the money out from PBS, that they're going to have to lay these people off. Now, let me say this, and I know several of the people are being laid off. They appear to be fine individuals. I've worked alongside of them, with them, and I feel bad anytime someone in our industry loses their job. Okay, so let me say that first. And these people, by and large, have done nothing wrong to deserve to lose their job. That being said, welcome to the party, pal. And the past 25 years in this industry, as corporatization of the radio industry has caused one bloodbath after another as it relates to employment. I can't tell you the amount of my friends and my colleagues who work at for-profit terrestrial radio stations who have produced quality programming and ratings year after year after year have lost their jobs, and there was no numerous news articles or et cetera for many of them. It was just pack your stuff, get out of here. In the case of these people, I think all of them get to keep their jobs until the end of the year and the funding runs out, so they have 6 months head start to find another job.
Right, get the resume updated. Well, it is time to sink or swim, and this time it's on your dime. There's no taxpayer bailout, and maybe that is market correction. For years, these affiliates, they've operated under the illusion that the government subsidized media is somehow more virtuous than terrestrial radio is, or media. And that's just simply not the case anymore. So if their product is so valuable, then find a way to make it work.
Yeah, so let's talk about a couple points of this. And I say this as someone who has owned a radio station. I have had a highly successful radio show on a terrestrial for-profit radio station. And I also helped start and had a highly successful show on a non-com county radio station. Non-com means non-commercial, which plays by almost the same rules that PBS plays by without money coming in from the government. So I've made it work at all the places, and I've been on all sides of this industry. In 1964, there may have very well been a need for public broadcasting, given the lack of internet and access to media that people had compared to today. Also, the lack of radio stations. Over the past 20 years, the federal government has made a very conscientious effort to try to create access to more community-based radio. It is literally called, I believe, the Community Radio Revitalization Act, in which they have opened up frequencies, low-power FM frequencies. Again, I know I helped start one. I also, when I owned my terrestrial radio station, received a transmitter to make it an FM station from an AM station because I own a radio station in a rural area, the sorts of likes we were told will get no news now if PBS doesn't exist, because people like me were providing a service to the county without money from the government. The federal government has gone above and beyond to ensure that these communities still have access to county news, weather, sports, all of these things by granting licensees these frequencies as long as they serve, who are nonprofits, who serve their communities. The argument that there is not going to be news in 2025 where 90 whatever percent of the population has the internet at their fingertips at all times, and community radio stations exist in many of these places that are providing many of the same services as PBS, and that PBS should still continue to get millions of dollars of our money. I'm paying someone to compete with me and try to put me out of a job.
Yes, you are.
Think about that. My tax money is taken from me and then given to somebody who's competing against me for the same ratings to try to put me out of a job.
Yes. And if the content is truly that valuable, they can do it on their own through subscriptions, through donors, or competitive ad models like we do right here on WIBC.
Yes, if people support public broadcasting, which if you look at the ratings, I mean, they're not anywhere near ours, but which is the other.
Well, who is?
Right. But I'm not saying they should. Look, it's not going to happen. But there is clearly a pocket of people, and it is somewhat sizable, if you look at their ratings, who listen to public broadcasting. That's great. That's wonderful.
Then put your money where your mouth is.
Absolutely. There's numerous ways that they're not yanking their license. They're not yanking their frequencies. The stations, both radio and television, are not going to cease to exist. They just have to change their business model now.
Right.
And again, I've helped start and worked at non-com LPFM community radio stations. I had a night show before I was here, and I sold so many advertisements on that show. My boss had to come to me and said, stop. This show's becoming more ads than it is content, because the show was so popular, because people liked what we did. Local merchants said, I want to support you interviewing these elected officials, and people listen to this and they like it. It can exist and thrive better than it has before if PBS is willing to pull up their big boy pants, put creative programming out that people want to pay for, merchants want to pay to support. They could end up better than they've ever been.
Right. So the days of the
That's
guaranteed government checks and the niche programming and the elite commentary, that's over unless they want to get some backers.
Nobody's happy that people who work at PBS have gotten dismissed. Just like nobody was happy when it's happened here numerous times or every other radio station in the city. But there is zero reason when there's 30-plus radio stations serving almost the entirety of central Indiana that the government, we should be paying for radio to exist. It's just utterly ridiculous and a waste of money. And I hope PBS comes up with a great new business model and continues to provide news and other programming that people want to listen to. But there is no reason for public money to be paying for broadcasting entities in 2025.
Hey, Jim Merritt is going to join us next.
Yes. Great news, Casey.
Yeah?
And by great news, I mean terrible news.
Oh, okay.
The new property tax assessments obviously are out, and they're very, very, very high.
Well, let's talk to Jim Merritt about that coming up from 93 WIBC.
I had changed the locks. Didn't even know where she was living. And then one night she calls to say she's getting treatment. Can I drive? I almost hung up. But then I thought, that's my kid. I chose to put away the hurt and the fear and just see my girl.
Addiction is a disease. Standing by a loved one as they fight it will test your faith, patience, and sanity. But it's possible when you see the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Continuing with rescue efforts. It's cloudy with rain in the vicinity, 74 in the Circle City. 85 will be the high today. I'm Jarrett Lewis for cbeyondtheaddiction.org. Here's what's trending at 9:32. Search and rescue teams continue to look for more than 160 people reported missing in parts of central Texas after at least 111 people were killed because of flash flooding. At least 5 campers and 1 counselor from Camp Mystic in Kirk County have still not been found. Residents are pushing for a new flood warning system that was reportedly proposed but turned down in the past because of the high costs. Indiana Task Force 1 currently on their way down to Texas to assist in rescue efforts. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu holding back-to-back days of meetings at the White House, the first between the two leaders since the U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear enrichment sites last month. But some Israeli and American officials are warning that Iran is still trying to obtain a nuclear weapon.
I think within a year they would have had.
Within a year?
Within a year, probably more than one bomb. So that would have been, and they say openly, death to Israel, death to America. They, unlike other nuclear powers, they could probably throw that weapon at us, and that's the end of Israel and the end of Jewish history. That's not going to happen. We couldn't allow it.
That's Netanyahu speaking with Fox Business' Mornings with Maria for the first time since the strikes. He says he believes any enriched uranium that Iran hid is buried underground. The meetings with President Trump were also notable for Netanyahu's surprise nomination of President Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. And Senate Democrats are wanting immigration agents to identify themselves and stop wearing masks while on the job.
This new bill from the Democrats is proposing a ban, basically, on federal immigration agents from wearing any sort of face covering during enforcement operations, but it would also require them to wear identification, including their names or their badge numbers. And it comes as DHS says ICE agents have faced a 700% increase in assaults against them in recent weeks.
This also comes after multiple recent crimes involving people impersonating masked ICE agents. Now, your opening bell report on 93 WIBC brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management. The Dow rebounding after 2 days of losses, up 177 points right now to 44,240. The S&P 500 also up 20 points, 6,225. As for the NASDAQ, it's in the green, 64 points. It's up 22,702. I'm Jarrett Lewis on The Level on the Go and at WIBC.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Stay on your home court with Franciscan Health's top-rated cardiac heart care. No traveling, no waiting. Just award-winning heart care right where you live. Rated #1 in Indiana 2 years in a row for cardiology and cardiac care by health grades, Franciscan Health offers first-in-the-world treatments, cutting-edge technology, and unmatched compassion. Because we believe every heartbeat is extraordinary. Don't sit on the sidelines with heart trouble. Schedule a same-day cardiology appointment today at 317-893-1900.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and lose the weight guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis to destroy unwanted cravings. Also, stop smoking with Mark Patrick. Destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars July 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. And Saturday, August 2nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet, so make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
I'm a proud owner of B Window.
I'm a proud B Window owner.
I'm a proud B Window owner.
When you work with a local, employee-owned home improvement company like B Window, quality comes first because your home improvements are a reflection of our business. And for a limited time, we're extending our employee discount to you, up to 55% off all products and services, plus 18 months, no interest, no payments. Trust local, trust employee-owned, trust your home to be.
Trust me. Join Mark Patrick Seminars and lose the weight guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis to destroy unwanted cravings. Also, stop smoking with Mark Patrick. Destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars July 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. And Saturday, August 2nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com. Quality Supply and Tool, your premier supplier of construction equipment, tools, and supplies, is looking for drivers to serve out of their Indianapolis location. They're currently accepting applications for both CDL and non-CDL drivers. Quality Supply and Tool offers competitive pay to qualified applicants. Please contact Brian Myers for more information at 317-690-2016. That's Brian Myers at Quality Supply and Tool, 317-690-2016. 317-690-2016.
You know, sometimes dealing with home service contractors can be frustrating, whether it's missed appointments, sloppy workmanship, or just a general sense of indifference about helping you. Frustrating hardly describes that experience, Hammer.
And that's why we want to welcome a new advertiser to the Hammer and Nigel family, somebody you're going to be hearing quite a bit about in the coming months, Victor's Home Solutions.
Victor's installs the highest quality roofs available for your home, and they take all those negative stereotypes and turn them on their head.
They start with the basics, prompt, follow-up, showing up to appointments on time. And then they go above and beyond with installation teams that are so skilled, so precise, that Victor's is able to offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install.
5-star customer service and perfect installation. You're going to be really impressed with Victor's. They're the only roofer Hammer and I recommend to our listeners. It all starts with a free 21-point roof inspection. Call 1-866-VICTORS or victors.com.
Well, we busted out of class, had to get away from most fools. We learned more from a 3-minute record day than we ever learned in school.
New article says big spike in property assessments. The legislature and the governor said we got it under control. What's the truth going to be? Let's find out. Let's look into the crystal ball from a man who was overseeing Indiana politics and government for 30 years, the great Jim Merritt. Hello.
Robert.
All right, so the Capital Chronicle, one of the fine non-profit media outlets that seems to be doing just fine.
Oh, they're an outstanding organization.
The little engine that could.
Yes.
You can make it work if you put a product out that people want to consume.
They do a great job.
They have an article out saying that property tax assessments for commercial, industrial, and residential rose 12% collectively over the past year. Now, for most of the people hearing my voice, our voice, they will want to know about the residential. That was a little over 10%. So commercial it was like 16%, which I think is a lot more than it's been the past few years. But collectively, it was 12. Now, on the homeowner side, if the average is 10, that's pretty big. And the General Assembly and Braun claim that because of some levy cap in the new property tax bill, that people's increases would be capped at 4%. Now, I feel like I know property taxes better than about 99% of the population. I don't buy that, but I guess we're going to find out real quick, because in the past, your assessment increase was largely tied to your bill increase. So I guess we'll find out if you're at 10 and you go up 10, then that 4 cap really wasn't a thing.
Right. And this is so confusing, and it's difficult. There's no consistency. There's no prediction. And, when you have a budget at home and you budget so much for your mortgage, you budget so much for your insurance, you budget so much for your property taxes, and then if it would blow up 10%, a lot of people can't handle that. And it's scary to a homeowner. And I think we're going to see a furor that's coming on that in the legislature right now, I think, is trying to get to a point where you have taxing districts at the local level that are income or some other based, and getting away from property taxes, and they're trying to leak off. They're trying to get away from property taxes being the elephant in the middle of the room at the local level, and it's just a very difficult process for our friends down on Market Street. But
they've made it difficult, Jim.
Well, it's so confusing. It's like a spider web that catches people, and you can't get out of it. And if you wanted to appeal, it's almost like you have to go to an individual that's a master at it, and it costs you money.
Let me tell you a story about someone who I know is in the appeals process.
Mm-hmm.
So they 2 years ago got a bill. They appealed it. So they've said, I object to the assessment.
And
whatever.
they knew how to
do it.
Scale
they did
the system.
Proper channel. They lived part of the year out of state. So they were gone. They get back the next year. They then appeal the new bill. But because of the time they spend out of state, the lady goes, yeah, you missed the deadline. And they said, but you haven't even responded to my first appeal yet. So how do we even know if the first assessment was proper? I am challenging this one the same way I was challenging the last one, but you, the government, haven't done your job to give me a hearing on my first appeal because you're over a year behind. Doesn't matter. This is the new assessment. Then this year, they're getting about another 20% increase. This is why, which they'll appeal again, but they have no idea whether the first appeal from 2 years ago was valid or not. This is why people hate the government.
Not only that,
and the system.
And you know, the property tax system is one thing that they're so confused and incredibly mad about, but also government wastes money. So when it really starts from, you know, I'm giving you money that you're going to waste, and then the system of which I give you money is subjective, it's confusing, it's not predictable, and it's unfair.
Yeah,
and people fear it because they think they're getting cheated.
And here's another interesting thing where, so I'll take my residence for example. So my assessment went up about 6%, and I felt pretty lucky that it was only going to be like a couple $100 or whatever.
And what was inflation?
Not 6.
Yeah, 5.
No, not 5. I mean, I think it was, Trump's saying it's like 2.5 right now, right?
We're talking about history, though.
Yeah. Right. But that's the other part of this, right? The government keeps trying to say, well, inflation, it ain't what the property stuff has been, okay? Yeah. Let's get out of here. Let's cut the crap on that. But, so, you get the thing in the mail, and you say, okay, well, this is better than these, some people are getting 20 or whatever, right?
But that's not a way of approaching things.
It's a horrible way to live.
Yeah.
To feel lucky that my bill only went up, $130 or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, how lucky for me.
Yeah.
But then, 3 weeks later, I get a new assessment in the mail. It goes down. It's cut in half. Thank you, Hendricks County Assessor's Office. I'm feeling very lucky. And I'm like, okay, well, why did it go down in the reassessment? And it simply said neighborhood error. Like, living in this neighborhood is an error on my part? Like, what? I know how to read government documents. I'm pretty well versed in the whole thing. And I still haven't called over there to even ask because it's like, I don't even have the time at this point. So my bill ended up going up about 3.5%, I think.
Yeah.
Which, good. Thank you very much. I'm not going to complain. It's still going up. But the point is, I understand this better than almost every single person out there, and I have no idea what's going on.
Well, think also about somebody that's 50 years older than you are that looks at that, and it goes back to a lot of things we talk about on this program. Number 1, money. 2, truth. And 3, fear. And those everything circles around how we talk about issues that, unbeknownst to people, that people have these fears and these problems that we all don't want to experience because we're trying to make enough money to stay in our homes and pay the bills that we know are truthful. And then this comes in the mail and you're 90 years old and you don't know what to do.
Yeah. And the biggest problem is that the government, the state, has allowed these government entities, these local government entities, to get addicted to the increase. And every time you give government an increase, that becomes their new baseline.
Yes.
Well, you're cutting us.
Yes.
Yeah, but if you got a 30% increase the past 3 years and we bring you back like 3%, yes, this is how I'd run a business, right?
Right.
And it'd still be like, I'm up 27% from the past 3 years. No, the school would come out and go, they cut our budget by 3%.
Right, and that's why Elon Musk and Donald Trump, President Donald Trump in Washington with the Doge issue was such a breath of fresh air. And efficiency in government it is a lovely term, but at times it just doesn't happen.
Okay, got about a minute and a half left here. You have a strongly worded letter that is being circulated and is probably set to appear in a publication near you about IPS.
Yes, and I truly believe that with
Indianapolis Public Schools.
Yes, the riot that happened on July 4th, 5th, that has rocked this community. We've got chaos at the city-county building. There's a lot of things going on, but it all goes back to accountability with parents. It goes back to accountability with the community, and I worry about Indianapolis Public Schools. They have a performance that if you look at it from Washington Township, which is right next door to Indianapolis Public Schools, Washington Township is performing very, very well. And what I've written this letter, and I'm challenging the school system that we have to do better. We have to make our parents accountable. And I'm suggesting in this that we need a community commitment compact. Where,
CCC.
Yes, CCC. And it really, it says it has a shared agreement between schools, caregivers, and neighborhood institutions that we have expectations from student conduct, adult involvement, and academic engagement. And I think we ought to go back to school uniforms, Robert.
I agree.
I think there needs to be dramatic change. IPS, we spend $20,000 a student in IPS.
And it don't work very well.
It doesn't work at all. And we need to get, if parents aren't going to do it, there has to be a mentor. There has to be a new way of educating kids in Indianapolis, because we're seeing riots. We're seeing the results of what is happening at home, and we need to acknowledge, we need to make parents accountable. And there's no reason why we need violence in city of Indianapolis, and it's the golden goose that funds a lot of things in the state of Indiana.
Find him on Twitter at Jim_Merritt. Merritt in the Morning. That's the podcast, YouTube, and Facebook. Jim Merritt, thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Oh, man, today's Hammer and Nigel show is so good, we're being told it's going to be on the radio. The party starts at 3, 93 WIBC.
Fostech is American-made firearms made right here in Indiana. American craftsmanship meeting cutting-edge innovation. Their lightweight AR-15s are incredible, and they don't sacrifice dependability or durability. Advanced machining capabilities create incredible products, and they are all designed, machined, assembled, and tested right here in Indiana. Fostech, owned by a family that has served and loved their country. Visit Fostech.com, F-O-S-T-E-C-H, Fostech.com to find the dealer near you.
Transform your home with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. You can say goodbye to cracked, stained, and dirty old floors and hello to durable, stunning surfaces that last. Their cutting-edge technology ensures a beautiful finish every time, and you get to pick out the color. Upgrade your home today by calling Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They're for garage floors, driveways, pool decks, and patios. And they come with a lifetime warranty and one-day professional installation. The phone number, 877-417-0635. You can find them online, too. GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
From military life to a rewarding career in IT, kickstart your new journey in a matter of months in the fields of IT and cybersecurity, including AI. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including VA benefits.
News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Breaking news updates, local headlines, and statewide coverage are always available at WIBC.com. When the news moves fast, we will too. Stay in the know while you're on the go with WIBC.com.
Hey, it's Big Joe for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning. Owner Jim Scott says his company has grown to the size it is now by putting the customer first.
It took us 5 years to be bigger than I ever thought we would, and then 10 years to really be, wow, it's huge. But our customers got us here. They're loyal customers. They like what we do, and they like what we offer.
If you're in Boone or Hamilton County, call 765-601-1461 for Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
At Hendricks, your cancer care is in the details.
You have questions, and our dedicated clinicians and expert oncologists will answer them.
You have hills to climb,
And we are going to climb them.
You have dreams, and we're here to help you chase them. You have cancer, and you have all the expertise,
The determination and the kindness of the entire Hendricks team.
backed by Mayo Clinic expertise.
It's not just cancer care.
It's Teresa Care. Visit hendricks.org/cancer.
Technology Recyclers is the safe and ethical choice for your computer and electronics recycling. R2 certified, 100% landfill free, guaranteed destruction of data, and absolutely free pickups. Visit tech-recyclers.com.
No.
I didn't say anything.
Your zest to make me look bad. This is the second time you've done it now. You have no patience, and you took the victory lap. You're like the guy in the race that starts running backwards at the end because they're so far ahead.
Right, and then I trip, and then I don't finish.
Because you were celebrating too early.
I wasn't celebrating. What were you doing? You come running down. I look out the studio door, and Rob is just chucking down the hall with your briefcase and what is that, a glass of water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
What
know.
were you doing?
Well, okay, so for those of you who don't know, I've never not been here when the segment starts.
Yeah.
I take great pride in that. I have an internal clock where I know exactly when I need to be back. I know how long the segment is. I know, in the case of what we just played, when I have to be back. And so I knew what time it was, and I knew I've got about 15 seconds. I mean, my attention to detail.
Down to the second.
Things I don't care about at all, Casey. And I've learned this by now. I'm totally disinterested. Casey will be asking me what I want to talk about the next time, and I'm not paying attention. But if I care about something, I know to the second.
Right.
And so I knew I've got like 15 seconds. I've got to get back to the studio. So I was running on time. And then you were taking some sort of victory lap because you had Kevin move the spots, and you guys are insinuating I was late. And then Kevin was like, "Well, he would have been on time if I hadn't moved the spots." And I was like, "Right, you have to let me fail, Casey, in order. Just start the segment.
Okay.
If I'm late, you can take the victory lap.
Okay.
Your zest." Your lust to throw it in my face has now cost you because Kevin,
one of these days,
the one honest broker in this room, thankfully, fessed up and was like, he would have been back on time. I know when I have to be back. I know when I have to be here. That's why I was running.
We'll get you one of these times.
Oh, well, just let me fail.
Okay.
And then, Casey,
Yeah.
when I am not back here at the applicable time,
Yeah.
and you start that segment and you crack that microphone, then you rub it in my face, you point at me.
You know what we're going to talk about when that happens? How awful and disgusting the music of Bruce Springsteen is.
No, you can do whatever you want. And when I walk in here, you go, you have let everyone down. I cannot believe your lack of attention to detail.
Right. You don't care at all.
You lay it on so thick. But, lady, once again, I have
that day
snatched
comes.
victory from the jaws of defeat, and the streak is still intact.
Yes, gold star for you. Okay, so that's it. That's what we got.
I'm going to go walk the halls again. I'll be back for the start of next segment.
Okay, sounds good. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Are you having a hard time making it through a day of work without foot pain or discomfort with things that used to be simple like walking the dog? You may be thinking there's no way that something as simple as the Good Feet store can help you, like Bill.
My feet would just ache, my back would hurt, my ankles, everything just hurt. And I'd seen the commercial several times before I finally said, I'm going to do this. And I'll be darned if it didn't work. I feel a million times better than I ever did.
Another satisfied customer of the Good Feet store is Wendy.
Since wearing my arch supports from the Good Feet store, my back pain is gone and my feet don't hurt as much. And as I look into the future without pain, I see myself being even more adventurous, joyful, and full of possibility.
Come to the Good Feet store today for your free fitting and test walk. We're located in Castleton by the Fashion Mall or in Greenwood just off the 65. Or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. Good Feet arch supports are HSA and FSA eligible. Discover your options at the Good Feet store.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Universal Windows Direct, and oh my goodness, what a deal going on right now. This deal is as hot as the weather outside has been the last couple weeks. Listen to this. If you've been thinking about upgrading the windows in your home, now is the best time to act because you have not one, but two incredible options to make those windows more affordable than ever. And you get to make the choice. Here are the two options. You choose what's best for you. First of all, you can choose payments for as low as $99 a month. That's right. Imagine brand new, beautiful home windows in your home for $99 a month. Or if that doesn't tickle your fancy, how about 12 months with no payments and no interest? That's right. Casey's nodding feverishly. In fact, that's such a good deal. Casey might break out all the windows in her home just so she can have new windows from Universal Windows Direct with 12 months with no interest or payments. All right. So to get all the information, find out some restrictions that may apply, and most importantly, schedule your totally free, no hassle, no obligation estimate. Call today, 317-659-7574, 317-659-7574, universalwindowsdirect.com. Tell them Rob sent you.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices, not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. These issues can be complicated. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
101 West Ohio, Indianapolis. CordellCordell.com.
Fill your tank. Don't drain your wallet. Sam's Club lets you save time at the pump with Scan and Go checkout at Sam's Club fuel stations. Just scan the QR code on the pump and pay. Visit your local Sam's Club today.
Join Hammer and Nigel this Saturday from 11 to 1 at the grand opening of the all-new Hubler Toyota, 8055 US 31 South. Hubler's got you covered for 200,000 miles, now available on all new Toyotas. Join Hammer and Nigel this Saturday.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recyclers Studios, what police say an Indy mother was trying to do with her daughter and where Indiana Task Force 1 is heading this morning. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
111 dead in Texas. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. More than 170 people are reported missing 6 days after flash flooding hit central Texas.
Receding floodwaters in Kerr County, Texas, outside San Antonio, reveal intense destruction. But it does allow for further searching for missing people, including children, girls, who attended Camp Mystic. Mary West picked her daughter up from camp last week, but is now waiting to hear about friends' daughters.
I just can't because I've got my own daughter their age, and she's the same age as the little girls that are missing. So it's just gut-wrenching to me, and I have my daughter home safe, so I can't imagine what they're going through right now.
One of the camp's owners was killed while attempting to rescue a number of girls. Eben Brown, Fox News.
A man and 2 children are reported dead in flash flooding in New Mexico. The Trump administration is suing the state of California for continuing to allow transgender athletes in girls' school sports. A trans athlete won 2 events at the state track and field meet in May, with other girls also getting adjusted medals as a compromise. A Republican congresswoman wants more information about Jeffrey Epstein made public.
Florida's Anna Paulina Luna says people deserve to know the truth as she calls on the Department of Justice to release more information on the convicted sex offender. This comes after the DOJ released a memo saying Jeffrey Epstein did not have a client list and died by suicide. President Trump fired back when a reporter asked about the conclusion.
Are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
The White House says some information was not released because of its graphic content that included child pornography. Luna, though, who leads a House Oversight Task Force on declassification of federal secrets, says there's plenty of evidence and info the DOJ can still release not related to victims. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 212 points. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Trying to sex traffic her daughter. Skies are cloudy, rain in some spots. It's currently 73 on Monument Circle. The high today, 85. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 10:02. An Indianapolis woman is facing a felony sex trafficking charge as police say she offered up her infant daughter for sex in exchange for money. In the FBI's investigation of 32-year-old Morgan Stapp, they found she had been using Snapchat to message people and post pictures of her 7-month-old child. In one message, she offered up her daughter for $400 to a man to have access to her. She was arrested this week with her bond set at $200,000. Indiana Task Force 1, led by Jay Settergren, is rolling out to San Antonio this morning to assist with rescue efforts following floods in Texas that have left at least 110 people dead and dozens more missing.
Hopefully for closure. That's what we're asked to do, and we're prepared to go help.
49 members are expected to help with search and rescue operations in Kerr County, where floodwaters have destroyed homes and buildings. More than 20 inches of rain fell in Texas's Hill Country Friday night. President Trump has signed a disaster declaration for the area. Gunfire at a home in Greenfield. John Herrick reports.
Police are learning more about why 3 Greenfield officers say they had to fire their guns Monday night. State Police Sergeant John Perrine said they got what's called a domestic disturbance call.
Upon their arrival, they encountered a man who answered the door, shut the door in their faces, and then a few minutes later the door opened and the man was standing in the doorway with a handgun pointed at officers.
That man has been identified as Ted Feasel. Perrine says 3 officers fired their guns at Feasel once they saw his gun. Feasel was hit with bullets, rushed to a hospital, and later died there. Body cam footage is being reviewed. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And she's back again. Caitlin Clark, a full participant in practice on Tuesday for the Indiana Fever, as she returns from another injury layoff due to a bad groin. Head coach Stephanie White on getting her back for this squad.
Continuing to get first 2 days of looks with her at area on the floor at the same time, what that looks like, what actions we like, and then reintegrating her into what we need to do on the defensive end.
Clark missed the last 5 games. They will face Golden State today at noon Eastern time inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse. CC also drafting her all-star team, the captain taking teammates Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell with a few picks. Other notables include Liberty guard Sabrina Ionescu. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com. Kendall Casey back in 1 minute.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros, and a sincere thank you to our loyal customers for helping us to another record year. We recently saved a 62-year-old retiring couple over $800 monthly when compared to their COBRA offerings. We recently saved a family of 4 over $400 monthly when compared to their $7,500 deductible program on the ACA, and that's still Obamacare. We recently saved a small 4-man manufacturing company over $1,000 monthly and gave them better coverage. We feature coverages guaranteed to age 65, low out-of-pocket expenses, the largest networks in the country, and you can sign up anytime. If you are retiring early, self-employed, or need coverage for your small group, call us at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. If you don't call us, we can't help you. What are you going to lose? Call us 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. As always, God bless America, common sense government, and peace through strict.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
So we open the show with this, and sort of the thread, the theme, if you will, is that our elected officials, our appointed officials, expect you, the public, to just accept and believe the ludicrous at this point.
Yeah. It's complete gaslighting.
And it's happening at all levels. And we started the show talking about Epstein and the latest from the Trump administration, in which, despite literally years of Donald Trump running on Epstein at various campaign events, I'm not saying every event he went to, it was the first thing that... What is Jeanette Cruz doing? Our newsroom is doing...
It's a club in there.
I don't even know. I don't know if this is a TikTok. There was some sort of mixture of the Macarena along with the...
dab?
Hippity-dippity. Something I used to see at the Vogue at 2 a.m. with someone with a glow stick. And Jarrett Lewis is in there. I didn't know that the newsroom was a not safe for work environment. I don't even know where that's going, but I must see the end result. And I thought that sort of programming was banned now in the state of Indiana without an ID of some sort. I can't wait to see where that ends up. Anyway, I'm not saying Trump at every event was saying Epstein, but certainly on numerous occasions, he brought it up, and the idea that your government was not being transparent with you, and that if you elected him president, he would give you all of the information.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he did multiple interviews, including, Kevin, do you have it? Including this one, where he said that he would release the Epstein client list if elected.
But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago.
He's going to take a look at it.
And not just him, but the people that he put in the positions of power, most notably Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who are heading up the FBI, and then Pam Bondi as the Attorney General. And then once they're in there, they expect you, the public, to believe there's just nobody.
Nothing to see here.
It was an entire island, and all these kids who we know existed, these little girls, young girls, were sex trafficked to no one. They just took them to an island for an island adventure, Casey. And any abuse that might have happened, it was all Epstein.
They have to understand why people are outraged about this. They have to understand that people want to know that their government is not protecting pedophiles.
Sure, they don't care. Because what the government has figured out at all levels is we can lie to you right to your face. We can say the most absurd, ridiculous things. And what are you going to do about it? Because the public has proven itself. And it's the thing I've been begging and screaming about for 9 years on this radio station. Your apathy. Now, I'm not saying you, the people who listen, but I'm talking you as we. Let me use it as we. Society, collective. The collective apathetic nature of refusal to get involved, to refusal to engage, to refusal to vote people out. Because we're so wed to some meaningless letter next to their name, these people feel bulletproof. It's the same reason, if you want to bring the thread of the show, people who say the ridiculous and expect you to just believe it. Case, for an entire day now, I have been involved in an internet thread with some of the lieutenant governor's closest personal allies who expect us to believe that the fact that he went to a high-profile event accepting a lavish gift from a well-known convicted felon whose my case file, where you can track people's criminal history over decades, reads like a CVS receipt. We're expected to believe that the lieutenant governor, who has a $3.5 million staff behind him, nobody did any sort of Google search to put this guy's name in and see who he was and what he was convicted of, what he's pled guilty to. We're just led to believe the lieutenant governor is meeting, and this is now their story, it appears, that he meets random people at campaign events. They offer him, upon not knowing these people very well, lavish gifts like tickets to the NBA Finals And he just accepts, and nobody in this $3.5 million office is doing any research on who these people are. That appears to be the narrative now from the lieutenant governor's office.
Did they know he was going to go to that game?
Well, that's the question, right? Because I've said only two things can be true here, and if there's a third option, let me know. Either the $3.5 million staff, not everybody, but people in there knew, and they didn't do anything about it, because it's not a mystery who this guy is. I'm going to the game, and I've worked in a statewide office. I know how it works. I've met this person at such and such an event. What do we know about this guy? This person wants me to go to so-and-so. I'm not familiar with this person. Who is it? You have 1 day to tell me who it is and report back everything you found on this person. I know how it works. I've been in these offices. I've been that person whose job it is to look into who people are before a statewide engages in any sort of personal activity with these people. But we're led to believe that either that doesn't happen in his office, and the second most powerful person in the state is so open to being compromised that he hangs out with convicted felons, or he's simply not telling people who he's engaging with, and then that would mean he actually knew,
right?
Which is in direct contradiction to the public statement he's made. Only one of these two things can be true. If there's a third option, if there's a third path forward, somebody let me know.
Yeah, neither one's a good look.
No, if it's the first one, then everybody in that office who was involved in not researching, including the data guy who makes $80,000 a year, and the chief of staff, who's the guardian, should be fired immediately, if that's the case. But I don't think anybody actually believes that the lieutenant governor is just meeting randos, accepting NBA Finals tickets, and going to the games without people knowing who he's going with. But that's their story right now. That's the story. It's every bit as ridiculous as there was no list. That minute of tape that's missing? Oh, well, that happens all the time. That's been going on since 1999. Sure, your home security system, there's no minute of tape missing if you need to review it. But in the federal prison system, there's just a minute of tape that goes missing. These people, whether it's the lieutenant governor and the people around him, or the president and the people around him, say the most ridiculous things because they don't fear any retribution or anybody holding them accountable, because we have proven as a society we just take it for some reason.
Do you think that Donald Trump stepped in because he knew that Pam Bondi was about to embarrass herself and he was trying to head that off? Was that loyalty? Was that just he wanted this conversation to be done? And if so, why?
These people cannot stand to be challenged. And when they're challenged on something they know they've done wrong, like, I don't know, palling around and accepting a lavish gift, a ticket to the NBA Finals with a high-profile convicted felon, who, by the way, has allegedly and never been refuted, doing pretty gross things with the building he's renting out. Instead of just raising your hand and going, you know what, I really wanted to go to that game, and that guy offered me a ticket, and so my want to go to that game was more than doing the right thing, which is I shouldn't be hanging out with that guy. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Instead of just doing that, you get some bullcrap story about how, I met him a couple times at campaign events. And, of course, I was there with Diego, who I'd come on your show, Rob, and professed great concern about this mysterious trip to India. And I was going to get to the bottom of it. I'm really concerned about it. Of course, I was there palling around with Diego, with the convicted felon. Right? These are those ridiculous sort of stories, these untruths, these contradictions. And because these people can't stand to be challenged. They can't stand to just stand up and say, as a public official, as someone who has the public trust, I've screwed up. Donald Trump now, instead of just raising his hand and going, you know what, I campaigned on this, and I'm not following through, and here's the reasons. They won't do that. Nobody ever fesses up and just said, I screwed up, here's what I did wrong, here's why it happened, it won't happen again.
Well, maybe he's not doing it because it's a much larger picture. And that bigger picture could be intelligence agencies.
Then don't campaign on it. Then don't promise to do it. Then don't put people in charge of the FBI who had a media career, a lot of it centered around exposing the truth about Jeffrey Epstein. If you don't want to do it, people are there like, well, why aren't you guys yelling about Biden with this? Because we know what Biden is. This is why we're so hard on the Republicans on this show.
Well, Biden didn't say that he was going to release
Exactly. Biden is a corrupt, old, delusional fool. And so are most of the Democrats. They didn't campaign on doing the right thing. Donald Trump told us he was going to be different. He told us he was going to be better. He told us he would release the information. The people he put in positions of power and authority told us they were going to do that. And so then for them to do this ridiculous narrative of, there's nothing there. And it's totally normal for 1 minute of video to just disappear every single night. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, there is a new book coming out on Caitlin Clark. Christine Brennan is the author. She is a nationally noted author, and she is going to join us to talk all about her new deep dive on Caitlin Clark.
It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Now, the idea of Uber goes against everything we were taught as kids, though.
What's that?
Never get into a car with a stranger.
But there's betting.
Now we pay for it. We're literally paying the stranger to take us somewhere.
But at least there's some sort of vetting. You know the name of the person that's coming.
So you'll know your kidnapper. It's like having an alarm on your car. Great, I can hear it being stolen.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling will pay you cash for your scrap metal. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling may seem familiar to you, and that's because they are. They're trusted local family-owned businesses going back 3 generations in Indy with their familiar orange logo and a name you know. But you may not know they'll pay you cash for your scrap metal. Cash is king. Your scrap aluminum, steel, copper, and brass will get you cash from Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Just drop it off or schedule a pickup, and you'll put cash in your pocket. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Local names you can trust with 2 locations.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Get cash for your scrap. Get started at farnsworthmetals.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
You ready to build your custom dream home? Check out Joyner Homes based out of Greenfield. See one of their model homes in person anytime. It is a great way for you to experience the customization and quality of a Joyner Homes custom built home. Plus, you can meet with a new home specialist to learn about their building process. Available lots if you don't already have one. Find out about floor plans and where they build. Model homes are open 7 days a week from noon to 5 and walk-ins are welcome. Find out more at joynerhomes.com.
Make summer nights unforgettable with Indy Decorative Concrete. Get 50% off a stunning fire pit with their best stamped concrete patio package. Offer ends September 1st. IndyDecorativeConcrete.com.
A nationally known columnist and best-selling author has a new book coming out about our own Caitlin Clark. Arguably the most famous athlete in the country right now.
Yeah.
Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. That's Casey. Christine Brennan is our guest. She joins us now on the WIBC hotline. The new book, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports, is the book. Christine, hello.
Well, hey, guys. Rob, Casey, great to be with you. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, so obviously you have written over the years for many, many publications. People know the name, obviously, from ABC News, CNN, PBS, NPR. You've written many books, columnist for USA Today. You can pretty much pick and choose who you cover. Why did you decide to do a deep dive on Caitlin Clark?
I think it really helped me to be watching from my kitchen those Iowa games where I wasn't covering them. I'm a journalist who covers a lot of things, but I wouldn't necessarily be covering Iowa women's basketball. And I'm watching these logo threes. She's chucking it from the parking lot, and it's going in. And I've covered a lot. I've been so fortunate. The Olympics, Super Bowls, you name it. And to see something where I'm surprised, where I'm going like, what am I watching here? Family, friends were texting, guys who wouldn't have ever even known there was a women's Final Four, texting me, are you at the women's Final Four? And I was actually gearing up for the Masters golf tournament, so no, I wasn't. Just something that the passes, those incredible length of the floor passes, everything about her game was basketball, yes, but it was truly entertainment. It was a high wire act. And I think that helped me understand, not as a cynical journalist, but as an observer, as a person like any other American just watching this, that this was something we had never seen before. You throw in the TV ratings, 4 million more people watching the women's final in 2024, the NCAA final, 4 million more than watched the men the next night, a sentence I never thought I could say. I still kind of can't believe it. And then the lines, those people, everyone lined up in January and February to get into IU, Assembly Hall, get into Purdue, get into Michigan and Maryland and Ohio State Stadium, like it was a Springsteen concert or a Taylor Swift concert. All of that put together told me we are seeing something that we have never seen before in women's team sports. And I was obviously very honored then to be able to write about it in a book.
Christine Brennan is our guest, nationally known author. She has a new book out on her game. It's all about Caitlin Clark, and the revolution in women's sports. So did you get access to her, people around her? How'd you go about putting the book together?
Exactly. Well, it happened quickly. Even a year ago, like right now, it was when we were starting to talk about it. Scribner, my publisher, hadn't written a book for quite a while, and so they jumped at this. They said, we want you to do it. It surprised me that literally I got an offer without even a book proposal, which it would never happen. And then I immediately was in touch with the Fever leadership, at the entire leadership, let them know. NBA, WNBA, Caitlin's agent, Erin Kane, I called her. I've known her for a while, called her within a day or two to tell her. And then as soon as the Olympics ended, I had that tough assignment, guys. I had to go to the Paris Olympics for a month. So that was tough. But I know. Someone had to do it. I needed you to hold my laptop. Where were you?
What a charmed life.
Right.
I know. When I say I'm working hard, people are like, no, you're not working hard. Anyway, but came back to D.C. where I'm based. The Midwest all the way, Toledo. All my siblings went to IU. I went to Northwestern, Big Ten, and all the way. Anyway, and then flew to Indy, and I started on August 16th, which was the first game after the Olympic break. Caitlin knew I was coming in for the book. The coach at the time, Christy Sides, welcome. All right, here comes the book. And then I had access to practices, exclusive access to several practices. I was able to ask Caitlin 40 to 50 questions. In small group settings, usually small press availabilities. I had met her one-on-one prior to the book, so we had a chance to get to know one another. I talked to the coaches, General Manager Lynn Dunn and I had lunch and talked a lot. Allison Barber was the president at the time. We talked a lot. Kate Martin, of course, Caitlin's great friend. We spent a half hour together chatting in their hotel when she was in town with Las Vegas for 2 games in September. All about Caitlin. Kate Martin's voice is so great. Tamika Catchings, I also have to just give a huge shout out. You, of course, Indy loves Tamika Catchings.
We do love her. Christine Brennan is our guest. I wanted to introduce you again to our audience just tuning in. She's the author of the new book on her game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports. Casey.
Christine, what was the most surprising or unexpected thing that you learned while you were writing the book?
I don't know if, Casey, it's super surprising. Caitlin, obviously, the maturity we know about. I say in the book she's 22 going on 40 or 50. Just the way she handles everything. She gets questions about race thrown at her. She gets questions about politics, anything and everything. And she handled it like a pro. In fact, most professional athletes would have said, hey, I'm out of here. I'm not answering that. And she just looks you in the eye and is so honorable and so kind with her time. With all the interviews, probably the most interviewed athlete last year, from college to the pros, and all the interest in her. So we haven't said all that, her sense of humor. Watching her in practice, when I got that access inside those practices, how funny she is. Every drill, you guys, So it's like her team and the other teams on at the other end of the floor. And she's looking over to see, did they just make a shot? We made one. Now, they made one. She's counting out loud. 1, 2. She's like, everything's a game. Everything's competition, but it's a huge smile on her face. And she brings in a smile to all her teammates who just love this about her. Her joking around, if they've got some cash on the line on these little games they play at practice at the end, the shooting from half court, I want another chance. I want to get a chance to make the shot. It's not over yet. We want one more try. Very funny. They're rolling around on the floor laughing sometimes with her.
Do you ever notice
humor? Obviously.
Do you ever notice her teammates joking that she's got more money to lay on the line when they make these small bets? Does that ever come up?
Well, I've noticed recently with some of the fines over this year, which of course the book, was last year all the way through April this year. But I noticed how they're saying, well, Caitlin's going to be covering that. Yeah. So yeah, I guess they know
does
how
come
much
up,
money
yeah.
she's making.
Hey, Christine, before we let you go, and again, the book is On Her Game. It's by the nationally known Christine Brennan. It's Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports, the brand new book. We've talked on this show about there are, not to in any way demean women's basketball, but in terms of the big four, people tend to think of, hockey, football, basketball, baseball. WNBA is, and I say this as a golf fan, it's kind of a niche sport. And we have seen in the niche sports, whether it's Tiger Woods in golf or, like a Michael Phelps in swimming or Wayne Gretzky to some extent in the 80s in hockey or Mike Tyson in boxing, there were people who were lifted that sport up for a period of time, and it tended to be, this 5 to 10 year span where they elevated interest, and then after they faded, the sport kind of went back to where it was. Does Caitlin Clark have the ability to permanently lift the WNBA on her own, or will she need some help if she's going to keep it in the forefront like it is right now?
I think as long as she's playing, and let's hope that's a long time, then it will be there because she is just such a force, right? We know that more than half the audience, the TV audience, disappeared when she missed those 5 games with her first injury. She's that big of a deal. So I think she's got the staying power. And, of course, the rising tide lifts all boats. Mm-hmm. We know, for example, the All-Star votes, where 2 years ago, Asia Wilson had 90,000 some votes, and now she's well into the 100,000. So there are people that are sticking around. But, yes, Juju Watkins, get healthy. She has a little bit of that high wire act in her. And other players like, the 15-year-old right now who's somewhere that we haven't heard of yet. When she's 22, 23 years old, they need more people like that. But I would make the case of all those and I've covered Tiger the length of his career, covered a lot of these players that you're talking about. I don't know that there's been anyone who is more important to his or her league than Caitlin Clark is to the WNBA, because the WNBA never got that attention. At least men's golf, it had Arnold Palmer, yeah. Jack Nicklaus, right? Even going back to Sam Snead, Byron Nelson, those guys, where there had been some level of success, the WNBA, sadly, never, ever moved the needle, in large part because the male-dominated sports media never wanted to. And, that's reality. Whether we like it or not, that's the reality. This is the moment for the WNBA. I think they have failed so far to really, really understand the magnitude of Caitlin Clark and to not fight it, but to be so happy that this wonderful person has come along at this particular time in the league's history.
On Her Game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in women's sports. Christine Brennan, nationally known author, great person to cover, certainly the most popular athlete in our city right now and maybe across the country. Thank you for your time, Christine.
My pleasure. I'll be in Indy for a lot of book signings, so look forward to seeing you guys.
Great. Thank you very much.
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Not letting up in their search. Cloudy, 73, showers in some spots. The high will reach 85 today. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 10:31. Residents in Central Texas are recovering following the deadly floods from this past weekend.
The death toll now is at 111 people. That includes 30 children just here in Kerr County. Those numbers expected to dramatically rise. Most of the children who tragically passed away were campers at Camp Mystic, some as young as 8 years old, fast asleep in their cabins when this happened. The deaths, though, they extend beyond the camp as the raging river pulled people from their homes and trailers across 6 different counties, dragging them miles past these floating trees and debris. That Governor Greg Abbott toured this devastation on Tuesday.
Fox's Brooke Taylor reporting from Kerrville. President Trump, meanwhile, is expected to visit the area on Friday. Indiana Task Force 1 currently on their way to San Antonio after leaving late last night. President Trump could be announcing another round of tariffs today. The tariff date has already been postponed several times as companies have warned they will have to raise prices on American consumers and businesses when the tariffs take effect. The president had announced new tariffs on about a dozen countries Monday, including 25% tariffs on imports from Japan and South Korea. New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani is officially endorsed by the United Federation of Teachers Wednesday. UFT President Michael Mulgrew called the Democratic candidate someone who will help fight for workers in the city and someone who will reject the politics of old. Mamdani will run against incumbent Mayor Eric Adams, who's an independent, and Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa in the general election. And the new Superman movie is projected to have the best opening weekend for any Superman solo film. Estimates have it at around $230 to $250 million in a global debut. If the projections hold, the movie could recoup its $225 million budget. I'm Jarrett Lewis on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hey, just a heads up, the Social Security Administration just announced they're now projected to run out of money 1 year earlier than expected. Your benefits could be cut by as much as 23%, and the average person could lose more than $100,000 in lifetime income. Discover how you could get every penny that's rightfully yours with a free Social Security analysis from Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy.
So, if you've saved more than $200,000 but have not yet filed for Social Security, schedule that free analysis right now. Just call 317-648-5120. This is not some off-the-shelf report. This is a customized analysis that could help you get every penny out of your Social Security. And it's free. Call Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. 317-648-5120. Bill Demery, your retirement guy.
When people think sleep apnea, they think CPAP. Now at Advent, we do all we can to help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine. And most sleep apnea sufferers who come to Advent are going to be able to avoid a CPAP altogether. Our unique Advent approach using simple in-office solutions can get your nose working and throat open all under one roof. You see, the root of every snoring and obstructive sleep apnea problem lies within the throat, nose, or both. At Advent, we know when we get the nose and throat working properly, most snoring and sleep apnea problems will subside. And we have the most simple and convenient, ultra-effective in-office solutions that can do just that. And this is why people have traveled by planes, trains, and automobiles from corners of the world you would never think of to find the sleep apnea and snoring relief you won't find elsewhere.
Go to AdventKnows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Most insurance accepted.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could it be lower testosterone?
Lower T.
Happens to most guys after 40. I was in the same boat until I started using Nugenix Total T2.
Total T2, the new one I've seen on TV.
Yep, it's the next generation testosterone booster for both free and total testosterone. It's packed with even more man-boosting power, sending nitric oxide levels skyrocketing in just 3 hours.
It actually works?
I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I've got more energy, better results in the gym, and things are even better in the bedroom. Send them a text and get a complimentary bottle.
Text now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the #1 testosterone brand at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, absolutely free. Text Rocky to 369-369. That's ROCKY to 369-369. Rocky to 369-369.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. fees.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and lose the weight guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis to destroy unwanted cravings. Also, stop smoking with Mark Patrick. Destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars July 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. And Saturday, August 2nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
You'll understand in a minute why I asked him that question.
Funniest thing I've ever heard. That's great. So Casey looks at.
Well, no, you can't reveal it just yet.
Well, no, I mean this is the whole okay, fine. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of a shorter segment here because Hammer made something incredible last night, and I want to give him plenty of time to explain it, and I assume he will post it. But I saw something last night that I thought would be a fun segment because I know, Casey, you've had the opportunity to meet many celebrities over the years.
Yeah.
And I think we've delved into it very briefly. You hosted a lifestyle show. You've been in radio for many years. And you've interviewed.
Living in South Bend by Notre Dame.
Right.
They were always.
Sports people, all sorts of people, right?
Coming around.
So I saw this clip, and I thought then it would spur something interesting that I want to ask you about interactions you've had with celebrities. Because for us, I think like meeting famous people, it's not a thing, right? Because it's just part of the job where then you realize for the average person, they don't meet that many famous people. Like interactions with celebrities on whatever level are pretty rare for them. So I saw this clip. I think maybe we've actually played part of it before. I don't know if you've ever played the whole thing. It's an older episode. I don't know what, you know how like the YouTube internet rabbit hole thing becomes, where Springsteen on some tour was on the Graham Norton show. That's a British show. Is that right, Kevin?
Yeah, Graham Norton's Irish, but it's a British show.
And this is a pretty famous story. One of the things I've told over the years, one of the reasons I was drawn to Bruce Springsteen is not true anymore. But all the books that I have read, at least through Born in the USA and even during it, he was very humble in his roots and his interactions with fans and in the communities, not only in which he lived, but he was staying in while on tour. Like there was no, I'm a big celebrity. He's very famous for his direct, random interactions with regular people during the heyday of his career. Now, I'm sure that is not true anymore, and you can't get anywhere near the guy, which sucks because that was part of the charm and why people like me were drawn to him. But he tells this story about how this would have been during the River Tour, which is a very famous album. He was a big rock star by this point. He meets some random guy and his girlfriend at a movie theater and then ends up going back to the guy's mother's house and eating dinner there. And it's like the most incredible story ever. Here is the story.
Do seem to go above and beyond. This was, I think, early, back in the 80s, I think. Do you know the story where you were, I think you were at a cinema. Was it in Denver?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. So you're in a cinema in St. Louis. Take it away. Unless this is a different story. Unless it's a different story, and you're thinking, he can't want me to tell this story.
I was at a cinema by myself on an off night from the tour in St. Louis, watching Woody Allen's Stardust Memories.
Okay.
During which Woody Allen is not necessarily so kind to his fans in the film. So I had met a kid in the lobby, was there with his girlfriend and said, do you want to sit with us? So I said, okay.
See, already, I'm just thinking that's a hard no, isn't it? Do you want to sit with us? No, I don't. But no, you did it. You're lovely. Okay. You went top.
So I went and I sat, and we watched the movie. And he says, is that how you feel about your fans? So I said, well, not so much, right? He says, I'm going to go home now. Will you come home and meet my parents?
You didn't.
I said, okay.
Oh, I love that.
And so I went somewhere in St. Louis with this kid, and we walked in the door, and it's about 11 o'clock at night, and he says, Mom, I have Bruce Springsteen with me. And she goes, who?
No.
And he runs in his bedroom and comes out with the album and shows her the album cover. Says, Bruce Springsteen. And of course, then she goes, oh my God, let me make him some eggs. And so around midnight, I was sitting in a little house in St. Louis having some eggs with this kid and his mom. And I saw them for decades after that every time we came to town.
So my question to you, Casey, on a personal level, take away like I just sat and interviewed somebody. Do you have any interaction with celebrities? And it could be technically like part of your job, but I'm saying something that sort of went beyond that.
Yeah.
That was either super positive like that or super negative.
Well, the super negative would have been, of course, John Mellencamp.
You've told this story before that it did not go well.
Did not go well, and
which
there
is weird because you are totally his type. Every woman he dates, it seems like, looks exactly like the way you looked in the moment in which you interacted with him.
Right. And, you know, there was one photo with him, and it was blurry, and so it was just not the best experience.
He was not nice.
He was not nice, and he didn't want to be there, and it was very obvious.
Yeah.
So we won't, you know, we've heard that story. Now, I have told you the story about how I met and engaged with Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
You know that one, and how he was trash talking Jim and saying that I could do better than Jim, and Jim sat there and went,
yes.
What am I going to say? It's Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Like, what, I'm going to challenge him?
Right.
So I was thinking about this because you posed the question, you know, best interactions with some famous people, and I think I got to go to Willie Nelson. And that's why I asked Kevin the question.
So she looks at Kevin, and it's the most mom move ever. She goes, now, Kevin, keep in mind, Kevin's 30. He's in a band.
Yeah.
He's very into music history. Kevin and I sit during breaks, talk about classic rock music all the time. And she goes, now, Kevin, do you know who Willie Nelson is?
Well, you know, I know that's not really his genre.
And Kevin's like, yeah, Grandma, I do.
Well, see, Jim and I had this conversation last night. Like, if you're, I don't know, Jarrett's age, who's in his early 20s, does he know who Willie Nelson is?
He's in a band, Casey.
I think Willie Nelson is one of those guys that kind of transcends
right?
generations.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
And he's into
Wanted to make
classic
sure.
music. We talk about it all the time. Do you know who this man Elvis is? He entertained the children in the 60s.
Right. So that probably would be one of the people that I would choose as one of the better.
It was positive.
Positive experiences.
Positive interaction.
Yes, because this was after he had already performed. This was the late 90s. We were in Lansing, Michigan, and he had his Class A bus with him. RV.
Yeah.
Big thing. And after he got done performing, he invited me into the RV. A couple of band members were there, so we weren't alone.
Yeah.
But, you know, he just said, do you want to sit down and hang out? And I was thinking, yeah, it's Willie Nelson. Did
you smoke with Willie?
He rolled up a J right in front of me, and he did offer me some. He did. And
did you accept?
You know what, Rob? I may have already been there. I may not have needed more. But I got to see, you know, his famous guitar.
Yeah.
And when I was leaving, and he gave me a big hug, and, you know, we shook hands and everything after hanging out for a while, I just remember that his hands were so soft.
Yeah.
And he wasn't dismissive. Like, he wasn't trying to kick me off his bus.
Yeah.
He genuinely wanted to hang out, and he was interested in me. And I felt like I was hanging out with my grandfather.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Hammer has something special for us that he made last night, and I hope he will post it before it is something that we have pondered for years on this program, and Hammer has finally come up with the answer, and it was the perfect answer, and so we will discuss it with him next. Yes.
It's Kendall Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, the FBI is now engaging probes against Comey and Brennan. Fantastic. But we know why this is happening. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Quality Supply and Tool, your premier supplier of construction equipment, tools, and supplies, is looking for drivers to serve out of their Indianapolis location. They're currently accepting applications for both CDL and non-CDL drivers. Quality Supply and Tool offers competitive pay to qualified applicants. Please contact Brian Myers for more information at 317-690-2016. That's Brian Myers at Quality Supply and Tool, 317-690-2016. 317-690-2016.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros, and a sincere thank you to our loyal customers for helping us to another record year. We recently saved a 62-year-old retiring couple over $800 monthly when compared to their COBRA offerings. We recently saved a family of 4 over $400 monthly when compared to their $7,500 deductible program on the ACA, and you know that's still Obamacare. We recently saved a small 4-man manufacturing company over $1,000 monthly and gave them better coverage. We feature coverages guaranteed to age 65, low out-of-pocket expenses, the largest networks in the country, and you can sign up anytime. If you are retiring early, self-employed, or need coverage for your small group, call us at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. If you don't call us, we can't help you. What do you got to lose? Call us 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. As always, God bless America, common sense government, and peace through strict.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally family-owned for 50 years, helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You're listening to 93 WIBC. I'm Matt Baer. I'm excited to have a special guest joining us, Jeff Jr., the founder and CEO of Trajan Wealth.
What's up, Matt?
I hear your connection to Indiana runs pretty deep. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife used to live in Indiana, and my father and mother-in-law, they actually live in Kokomo, and my brother-in-law, he lives in Franklin. With so much family here, it was only natural to bring Trajan Wealth to greater Indiana and help all the Hoosiers plan for a better financial future.
I also know you and your wife served our country in the Marine Corps. Would you say the Marine Corps helped with the financial business you were in?
Unequivocally, yes. I completely credit the Marine Corps with most all of the intangible qualities, such as leadership, attitude, willingness to learn.
Trajan Wealth is a family-run, veteran-owned financial fiduciary. Call them today, 317-480-4040, 317-480-4040.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Paid advertisement.
The WIBC mashup is everything you love, from fiery debates to laugh-out-loud takes, all in one podcast. No weak sauce, just the best of the day each weekday. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Take a look at my girlfriend.
Perfect. Nice song choice.
Well done, Kevin.
Yeah.
You have totally outdone yourself. This is the greatest thing you've ever done. I was rolling on the floor in my house last night. My wife just looks down at me, is like, "Are you okay?" I showed her what it was. She started rolling. It's the most amazing thing ever. Jason Hammer, hello.
So the AI skills that I've acquired, again, I'm not the best in the world, but I'm good enough to be dangerous. Sometimes I can take an actual photo and I can turn it into life. Like I can make Nigel make out with Joy Behar.
Sure.
Yes.
And, things like that. Other times, I can create what I think something looks like.
Yeah.
You've often heard Rob talk about Cheryl from Applebee's.
So should we explain? Okay. I spent much of my 20s during the week. Weekends were for Broad Ripple, but much of my 20s during the week at the Brownsburg Applebee's because it was a short trip. The drinks were very reasonably priced. And one of the things that I noticed, a reoccurring thing, and it would be different people, but the bartender at the Applebee's always had a very similar look and a very similar demeanor, and as you would get to know them, almost a very similar life story.
Somebody that probably had a heart of gold, but has seen some hard times.
That's right. Usually it was like a couple of kids, couple divorces. This was some sort of transition job.
Would show up to work every day, but it's not somebody you would want to bring home to mom.
And it was an awesome person to sit there and learn life stories from and talk to. And so I took a composite of these different people, and I gave her a persona and a name, and that was Cheryl.
Cheryl from Applebee's in Brownsburg.
That's right.
So last night, was bored. Cubs were getting blown out. So I start playing on my phone, and I go into one of my AI creative apps and simply wrote, create an image of what a typical Applebee's female manager looks like in Brownsburg, Indiana. She must look tired. She must smoke. She must have a neck tattoo.
Oh, boy.
And look divorced.
What?
Blonde hair, middle age, and in an Applebee's uniform.
So here's how good Hammer was at this. When I told Gabrielle when I'm rolling on the floor what Hammer was doing and why I was laughing so hard, the first thing she said to me was, does she have a neck tattoo? The first thing, and that is how good, how detail-oriented you made this. And this thing. So years ago, some of our older audience remember the show America's Most Wanted.
Yes.
There was a famous criminal, I believe his name was John List, and John List had murdered his entire family
for money
and had gone on the run. And this was so groundbreaking at the time. They brought it. He had not been seen in like 20 years, and they brought in this guy who made this like paper mache head of what John List probably looked like. And then when they caught him off of this thing this guy made, he looked identical to what this guy created. And
I remember that with the Timothy McVeigh sketch. Like, whenever they were looking for the Oklahoma City bomber, here's a sketch. And then they found Timothy McVeigh. It's like, oh, my God, it looks just like him.
Yeah. And this image that you have come up with, in my mind, it is the composite of what I believed this makeup of multiple women would look like if she could somehow Captain Planet all the rings together and become one person.
If you want to see what Cheryl from Applebee's that Rob has talked about for years looks like, right now, go to Hammer and Nigel Show, Facebook, Twitter, or our Instagram story. The story's the little thing that plays up at top. You can click on the logo. Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. You will see what Cheryl from Applebee's looks like in all of her glory.
She looks like she's just getting off her shift.
I think she's taking a break.
You think so?
She's still got 5 hours to go.
Yeah.
She's tired of my stories. I've been there 2 hours.
2 people have called in. She's pulling a double.
Oh, no.
Rob's sitting at the bar in there. He's a little tipsy. He's being obnoxious. She's laughing, but, she's putting up with this crap because she wants a tip. And she has to go outside for a smoke because she hates her life.
Is she making Long Islands or is she making a Blue Hurricane?
Well, Applebee's used to have, and I think they had to stop it because the people were getting too unruly. They used to have like those dollar Ritas.
Yes.
And they had to put where you could, get totally sauced up for like $7.
And the big Brutus glasses of the beers were really cheap too.
Yeah.
I would pound some Brutuses back in the day.
I'm not proud of this, but I was obviously, especially after I became a public official, and I was never drunk, oh, you got to scrape the guy up off the floor. I did walk home a couple times from across town from the Brownsburg Applebee's.
It's the responsible thing to do, Rob.
It is right in the. Once Uber became a thing, it was much easier. But yes, I did walk home across the entire town from the Brownsburg Applebee's.
So you're saying you have fond memories of Cheryl?
Cheryl was awesome. That's what my point on all this is. While the person in question life had not worked out the way in which they had planned, they were always very insightful, a great listener.
A great employee. You would want Cheryl working for you.
Absolutely. And hearing their stories was always very interesting to me, and learning about their life was as interesting as me talking about mine.
No, Casey, the first rendition I made of Cheryl was pretty good, but the hair wasn't curly.
Oh, you had to tweak it just a little bit.
So I went back, tweaked the hair, and I think we really hit a home run.
Did you give it the prompt, give her the angry 11 between her eyes? Put a scowl on her face.
I think that's just the part of where I say, she must look divorced.
So
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either.
Look divorced. At Hammer and Nigel, at Rob M. Kendall. I've got it retweeted as well. I'm so proud of you, and thank you for exceeding all audience expectations.
Amalgamation of Cheryl.
Casey, here's the one without the curly hair.
Oh, yeah. Definitely curly hair's better.
And then we had to add a quote from Rob Kendall's demands, 1980s tight curly hair.
Nailed it. Good job.
What's coming up this afternoon? What are we doing?
This afternoon, the Tonus, Tony Kennett, will join us. And, man, we're going to try to have a lot of fun today. It's been kind of a serious news cycle. Let's have some laughs today. Let's get after it.
Thanks, Hammer. It is Kendall and Casey.
I love Cheryl.
It's 93 WIBC.
Across the water, like to see America. See the girls in California. I'm hoping it's going to come true. But there's not a lot I can do. Hey,
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis to destroy unwanted cravings. Also, stop smoking with Mark Patrick. Destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars July 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. And Saturday, August 2nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
We all have people in our lives we interact with. Maybe it's your favorite barista, a neighbor who waves to you every morning, a coworker you grab lunch with, or maybe it's me, the hairstylist you've gone to for years. What if you learned I had a substance use disorder? Would it change how you see me? It's okay to see the addiction, but when you choose to see the person, not just their disease, it can help change someone's life. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Weekday mornings at 7:15, the Tony Katz Popcorn Moment, brought to you by Boer Remodeling. Don't wait any longer for the kitchen you've been dreaming of. Request a consultation at BoerRemodeling.com.
Trust employee owned. B Windows extending our employee discount to you. Up to 55% off, plus 18 months, no interest, no payments. Trust your home to B.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recyclers Studios, how police say an Indianapolis woman was using her infant daughter to make some money. More details released on the officer-involved shooting in Greenfield from Monday night. A strong group of Hoosiers are heading down to assist Texans affected by flooding. And an all-star is back in the lineup for the Indiana Fever this afternoon. You're listening to 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. Time for Fox News. It's 11 o'clock.
Trump versus California. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The administration suing the state over transgender athletes continuing to be allowed to compete in girls' school sports. Education Secretary Linda McMahon on Fox.
This is not idle threats. We mean business.
We expect them to comply with the law, and we're not going to back down from the right kind of actions that we're going to take.
The suit says California is in violation of Title IX, which prohibits sex-based discrimination in any education program that receives federal funding. California state law says transgender student athletes may compete on teams that align with their gender identities. Former President Biden's White House doctor Kevin O'Connor shows up for an interview with the House Oversight Committee, but then refuses to answer questions, citing patient privilege and the Fifth Amendment. The committee is investigating an alleged cover-up of Biden's mental decline. NATO jets scramble to protect Polish airspace during Russia's largest drone attack on Ukraine so far during their war. 700 drones launched. Ukraine's President Zelensky met with Pope Leo today.
President Volodymyr Zelensky thanks Pope Leo XIV for attempting to secure the return of Ukrainian children taken by Russia. The two men have met at the Pope's summer residence, Castel Gandolfo. According to Pope Leo's spokesman, they discussed the urgent need for a just and lasting peace. UN-backed experts estimate about 20,000 Ukrainian children have been forcibly deported from occupied areas of Ukraine to Russia.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. It's up to 111 deaths now confirmed in flash flooding in central Texas. Fox's Evan Brown.
Those who survived are trying to make sense of it.
If I would have decided to stay here and didn't pay attention to my surroundings and just what was going on, then yes, would have been a statistic.
Dion McGee was camping along the river.
Compared to Mother Nature, powerless.
Searches for missing people continue.
More than 170 people are considered missing. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Using her daughter to try and get money. It's cloudy, 75 in the Circle City. Showers in the vicinity. The highs today in the mid-80s. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 11:02. An Indianapolis mother is facing felony sex trafficking charges after police say she was using Snapchat to offer up her infant daughter for sex. The FBI began investigating 32-year-old Morgan Stapp in November after Snapchat reported suspicious activity coming from her account. She was arrested this week after investigators found messages and pictures of her 7-month-old that were sent to people, with one time her offering a man $400 in exchange for access to her daughter. Stapp's bond has been set at $200,000. Police are learning more about why 3 Greenfield officers say they had to fire their guns while at a home Monday night. State Police Sergeant John Perrine said they responded to a domestic disturbance call.
Upon their arrival, they encountered a man who answered the door, shut the door in their faces, and then a few minutes later the door opened and the man was standing in the doorway with a handgun pointed at officers.
That man, identified as Ted Fiesel. Perrine says 3 officers fired their guns at him. Fiesel was hit by bullets, rushed to a hospital, and later died there. Body cam footage is now being looked at. A Hoosier search team of firefighters, dog handlers, engineers, and cops are all on their way to Texas. Ryan Hedrick reports.
Indiana Task Force 1 was activated Tuesday night to help with search and rescue efforts in central Texas, where last week's flooding killed more than 100 people.
We have a lot of missing people still, so we're going to go in and do our best to search and help.
Task Force 1 leader Jay Sedigren says his team's mission is simple.
Hopefully for closure. That's what we're asked to do, and we're prepared to go help.
Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A proposed ordinance to make Indianapolis teens stay off the streets earlier than state law is just a reaction to an already broken system, according to Indy FOP President Rick Snyder.
Even before the ink could dry on the proposal, the chair of the Public Safety Committee tripped over himself to get in front of the cameras and make clear that it's not about penalties. So what kind of message do you think that sends to the youth and parents that are involved in such late-night drama?
That's Snyder on WIBC's Hammer and Nigel on Tuesday. The counselor he's referring to is Democrat Leroy Robinson, who introduced the proposal and previously backed cutting beds at the Juvenile Justice Center. 2 teenage boys were shot and killed last weekend in downtown Indianapolis. Multiple others were injured. And the Indiana Fever are on the court next hour to take on the Golden State Valkyries. Caitlin Clark is back in the lineup after missing half a dozen games with a bad groin. Tip-off is set for noon at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or Sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1 day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Candula. Outside of Advent's four walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Okay, so let's explain how government works, because there's a Supreme Court ruling that people are like, some of the left is up in arms over, and to me it's like, this is pretty obvious, this is how it works, okay? Or how it should work, right? Because they just a lot of times make it up.
Those are two different things.
Right, okay. So Congress allocates the money. The administration, the executive branch, spends it.
Right.
Right? The Congress with the budget allocates how the money is going to be spent. The executive branch then makes the purchases.
Correct.
It spends the money, allocates, oversees the purchasing of the money. Like, Mike Johnson is not sitting there approving Amex charges for the stuff in the federal budget, okay? So it's pretty cut and dry how this operation works, and yet people were up in arms, and it led to this most recent Supreme Court ruling that they're mad that Trump is not spending all the money or wanting to spend less of the money than he was allotted by reducing the size of the federal workforce.
Yeah. So the Supreme Court, they said, no, his executive order is okay to downsize the federal workforce.
Right. He's the CEO. The same way as that if you work at a company, obviously there's a budget put together. And if you work for a publicly traded company, there's some sort of board of directors, and they're involved in all of that. But then there's a person in charge, a tippy top guy, and then there's underlings that come down, department heads and managers and whatever, who approve how that money gets allocated. And if the CEO and then through his underlings and managers decide, hey, we don't need 7 of these workers, they're kind of redundant.
Right.
Work is being done by multiple people. The work they're doing is not necessary. Downsizing happens for a variety of reasons. Unfortunately, we're going to have to let these people go. The board of directors doesn't come back and go, well, what an a-hole. You saved this company a bunch of money. They're like, oh, okay, thanks. It really stinks those people are gone, but it'll be nice for our bottom line.
Right.
And yet the people on the left are like, no, you can't do that. And the Supreme Court are like, yeah, that's how it works.
That's okay to do. So far, at least 75,000 federal employees have taken the deferred resignation. You remember those.
Right.
And there's been a lot that have been on probation, and they have since been let go. They've been invited not to show up anymore.
There was one dissenting vote case.
I know, and she is just becoming more ridiculous by the day.
Would you like to guess who the dissenting vote was?
Is it the one who doesn't know what a woman is?
Ketanji, as Joe Biden said, Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Right. And a lot of people are questioning what is going on with the Supreme Court, because even her friends in the Supreme Court are like saying, no, this isn't how this works.
Well, let's talk about the makeup of the court for a second, because I want to showcase how ridiculous this woman actually is, and this is the best way I can think to do this. So I've always broken the Supreme Court up into sections of 3.5. Okay, so there is the 3 rock solid originalist, they're A+ judges in Clarence Thomas, Sam Alito, Gorsuch. They're all, in my mind, A+, totally original, textual Supreme Court justices. They're A+. Then you've got the 3 in the middle of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts. You've got Coney Barrett, and I like beer. Kavanaugh. I like beer. I think of those three, Kavanaugh is the closest to the first group.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the other two, Roberts and Coney Barrett, are...
Coney Barrett kind of goes back and forth.
all over the map.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there is what I call Group 0.5, which is Elena Kagan. Elena Kagan was, I believe she was the Solicitor General for the Obama administration. She was highly thought of. While you may not like her politics, the way she viewed things, she had argued cases in front of the Supreme Court. And when Elena Kagan, while a liberal Supreme Court justice, issues rulings, she will often side, you will find, with the Trump administration because as the Solicitor General for a former president, she believes in a strong executive authority. So while she is usually in the voting block of three, there are times where she will break away. And when her rulings come down, when she is the writer of a dissent or something, her rulings, while I disagree with them, are usually rational and very well reasoned. Okay, so she's in Group 0.5. Then there's the other two. Sotomayor, who was picked because she's Latina. I want to get my was it pronouns? Is that right? And Obama made that pretty clear. And she is a complete idiot. And then there is on top of her Ketanji Brown, Ketanji Brown Jackson, as Obama or as Biden would say, who takes stupid to a whole new level. She is so bad and such a blatant activist in a robe that even recently Sotomayor has been like, nope.
Well, wasn't it Coney Barrett who said you don't even know how to speak legalese?
She is the one that Coney Barrett totally undressed. I can't remember what it was the judges. Can a district court judge rule for the entire nation? But I want to focus on Sotomayor because Sotomayor, in terms of the politics, is lockstep with this lady. Sotomayor is also an activist in a robe. But Brown Jackson is so extreme that even Sotomayor, like in a case like this, Sotomayor's like, I can't not rule. It's so obvious what this is. So even the lefty judges, and you've seen this now multiple times, where even the lefty judges are like, yes, the text is so obvious and it's so clear and this is so blatant. Of course, the president can spend the money. He is the head of the country. He is the CEO of the federal workforce. Him and his administration can basically hire and fire as they please. Go forth. Thank you. Have a nice day. Brown Jackson's like, she described it as, let's see, who is this? This comes from WVTM 13. It's an AP article. She described it as, what's the quote here? There's this incredible...
Legally dubious?
Oh, thank you. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was the only dissenting vote, accusing her colleagues of a, quote, demonstrated euthanism for greenlighting this president's legally dubious actions in an emergency procedure.
She was warning of mass employee termination.
Euthanasia. That's what she compared to shrinking the federal workforce so that we aren't 37 trillion. I mean, we're going to continue to be more and more in debt, but trying to have some sort of level of accountability to the
Well, she was also very critical of the court and say that they seem to be siding with Trump's emergency appeals. So that just tells you it doesn't matter what it is. She's going to go against it because it's just an anti-Trump move.
Yeah, I mean, and she is literally an activist in a robe.
Was this the case where she got, I don't know, talked to and said, this is an opinion? We're not even ruling on this?
I don't know.
There was something that came out recently where her fellow justices were like, you're not giving an opinion on this. We're not even taking this up.
So there you go. That's what's going on. Trump can do the thing. The bigger story, though, is that you have a just now blatant. I mean, it would be the equivalent of putting Randy Weingarten or Joy Reid or whoever on the Supreme Court. And again, she's an idiot.
Well, she doesn't know what a woman is.
I mean, again,
I can't believe they confirmed her.
Well, the Republicans always do whatever the Democrats want. Now, I think they had the votes to do it regardless because the Democrats had the one vote in the Senate. But I think there were multiple Republicans who voted for her every time the Democrats put somebody up. There's always Republicans who vote for them. And then when it's the Republicans, there's no Democrat votes most of the time. It's always the way this thing goes down because the Republicans are weak. Even a genuinely stupid person who is so ridiculous and unqualified that her own colleagues, including recently people on her team, have stiff-armed her, given her the Heisman stiff arm.
She's out there on an island.
It is scary beyond belief that she's one of the 9 most powerful people in the country.
So Linda Yaccarino, I'm sure you know exactly who this is. She is the CEO of X, or she was the CEO of X. She has stepped down. She announced her resignation this morning. And she said, after 2 incredible years, I've decided to step down. I'm immensely grateful to Elon Musk for entrusting me.
Would you want to run anything?
For Elon Musk or
no,
just period?
Like, would you want to be in charge of anything?
Yeah, I've done that before.
I know you've done that before. I'm saying at this stage.
Do I want to do it now? No.
Would you want no. Like if they came to you, we love our boss David Wood. He's done a phenomenal job. No one's suggesting otherwise. I'm just saying if they came to you, let's say David decided I'm moving to Hawaii, which I'm sure is a great dream of his to get away from us.
Right.
But he's here for the foreseeable future. But if they came to you and said, Casey, David is moving to Hawaii, we want you to run WIBC, would you even want that stress or pressure?
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
I did at one point in my life. Not anymore.
I have had this conversation with my wife because it's weird. My wife and I have a 15-year age difference. So much of my life she was not like there for, right? Like she has never met the entrepreneurial side of me, which was a huge portion of my 20s and into my 30s, was building businesses, taking risk, having ambition, succeeding, failing, mixing them together, wins, loses. And when she will hear about these things, it's like a different person because she's never experienced that guy because he doesn't exist anymore. Like at 40 years old and a wife and a child, I don't have the same drive or ambition in terms of risk tolerance that I did in my 20s, where I would literally...
We had more time to make it up.
Yeah, I mean, I would lose, because I own multiple businesses, depending on how things were going and what time of year it was. I remember one time for one business making $20,000 in a day, coming in and be like, dude, Bellagio, here we come.
Yeah.
And then I had to always preface that with, in this other business that loses money, it's going out the other end, buddy.
Right,
So you better,
exactly.
you better...
But that is the thing. When you say run something, you're always looking at the numbers, the return on investment, and you're...
No. I have no desire...
Chasing the bottom line.
Right. To have any risk other than, we know as long as, for the most part, as long as we show up here, produce the radio show, produce the ratings, and the advertisers stay, we're going to largely be fine.
But not only are they... middle management is a rough position because you get it from the top and the bottom, because you're beholden to your bosses and they want you to meet the numbers, and then you got to make sure that your staff is executing. So,
well, think about something like X then, because I'm with you.
Stressful.
I literally owned and ran a radio station for many, many years. I would never want that again today. I'm totally with you 100%. If you'd have told me as a kid you could run WIBC, or I'm saying a kid in my 20s, even my early 30s,
sure,
I would have been all about it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine running X, the pressure every day of running Twitter?
What sort of metrics do you think Elon Musk is demanding?
I have no idea. That's a great question.
What is the measurement of success for them? Like how many subscribers, or...
I don't know.
How many users?
Can you imagine? We only brought in 1 billion last quarter, or whatever the number is, and him barking at you and giving you the business.
Well, she's been there for 2 years, so she was there when all of those advertisers bailed.
Yeah. Good on.
And then she
no way.
turned it around?
Nope.
Nope, not gonna do it.
No way.
It is Kendall Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Historic flooding.
This is a 100-year catastrophe.
Lives shattered.
Dedicated, searching for every single one of the children.
It's horrible. I have grandchildren that I couldn't imagine them flowing down a river.
Support Texas flood relief efforts by going to SALArmyEDS.org. Whatever you can spare will help.
It is undescribable and catastrophic.
From 93.
This is a national emergency.
WIBC.
Are you worried about your taxes? Okay, so I'm talking to those of you out there that have not filed in a few years with the IRS or state. It's time to get worried, and here's why. The IRS is getting back from their own COVID lockdown, and they're hiring more enforcers, and they're going to come after people that owe taxes. So if you're a 1099 worker and maybe you just plain forgot to file your taxes, you need to call the professionals right now at the Tax Helpline. They are experts at knowing the tax regulations, and their goal is to help you pay as little as possible. Call right now and get a 100% free tax evaluation. Remember, before the IRS knocks on your door, knock on our door. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, make this free call right now.
Call Taxes 321 now at 800-808-9443. 800-808-9443. That's 800-808-9443.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 463-251-1912. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics at 463-251-1912. That's 463-251-1912.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to My Computer Career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Guys, Hammer and Nigel here. Don't live with tiredness and low energy. Get your life back with testosterone therapy at Low T Center. Take the test, get fast results, and start TRT with Indianapolis's leading experts in men's health.
Now it's easier than ever with the new Synergen X Health app, an innovation in healthcare technology you won't find anywhere else. Download right now or book an appointment while the test is still free at fixmylowt.com. fixmylowt.com.
Fill your tank. Don't drain your wallet. Sam's Club lets you save time at the pump with Scan and Go checkout at Sam's Club fuel stations. Just scan the QR code on the pump and pay. Visit your local Sam's Club today.
Make summer nights unforgettable with Indy Decorative Concrete. Get 50% off a stunning fire pit with their best stamped concrete patio package. Offer ends September 1st. IndyDecorativeConcrete.com.
I've got 2 tickets to paradise. Won't you pack your bags with me?
Sounds like such a get off my lawn person.
Do I? Stop it. Well, we were talking about being in management. I was just saying, when I was in management and radio years ago, a lot of the radio stations that I was operating were top 40 or younger music stations. You know, the demographic was a younger audience, so a lot of the employees were a younger demographic as well. And it was before radio was automated, so there were many times they didn't show up. It was me who was going in, and I don't want to do that anymore.
It's the Kendall and Casey show, by the way. I'm Rob, that's Casey. So what's funny is when I was a kid, there was a Nintendo game called Paperboy. And the premise of the game was, as it sounds, you were the paper boy. Your job was to deliver the papers.
Sure.
And different things would try to impede
Yeah.
your ability to get the paper in the mailbox on
Bumps in the road.
all these houses. And there were people in the street, manhole covers, and random people would come out of the houses and attack you. Which is hilarious, right? And one of the people that would come out of the house and attack you that you'd have to try to, drive past on your bike or whatever was this old lady in curlers who would run out with a robe shaking the paper at you, and that is exactly what you just said. You're like, I hate young people.
Get off my yard.
It does raise an interesting question, though, that you were talking about, and Casey had some very fun topics planned, but I'm just derailing everything here, which is, and Matt Hiblin, who claims not to be our boss, he says he can't fire us, that thus he is not our boss.
Yeah.
But I associate him with being our boss. And I have had this conversation before. It's true in radio, but I think it's true in a lot of professions, which is you before me, and certainly with my story, when we were younger, and I was sort of the last generation, but it was certainly true for Gen X that felt this way, radio was a desired position. Like when you were young, you dreamed of being on the radio.
Sure.
It was a place to be, and you knew, and it was ingrained in you if you were able to start when you were young. For example, my first job in radio, I was an intern for 6 months, in which I now believe this was a potential labor violation, where they had me do everything from cut the grass to do the trash.
And you were happy to do it.
Clean the bathrooms.
And you made peanuts.
The owner, I had to drive the owner around. It took 6 months before I ever got on the radio, right? And I now realize that was definitely some sort of, I should have called OSHA or whoever. But you did it because you were taught, it ingrained in you, this is a privilege to be here. Numerous other people want your position. You will pay your dues before you elevate. You will respect the process. You will respect the industry. And Matt talks about this all the time. Now, you can't get I say kids, I'm talking college age students, et cetera, to come in here for internships, et cetera, because nobody wants to work anymore.
Well, and podcasting equipment is so inexpensive now,
Yeah.
everybody can do it.
Yeah. So even though the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for us is we're doing 50,000 plus people a day walking through our turnstiles. You aren't doing that on your podcast. We have immense influence on what over state house, local governments, etc. We are listened to by powerful people. Many of them hate us, but they still listen. You're not getting it on your podcast, but kids don't see or not willing to anymore say, okay, here's the 5-year plan for me to step through and get to this position. They just say, well, I can do a podcast now and talk every day.
I was told at the very first day of broadcasting school that I was going to have to move to Moose Breath, Michigan for my first job, and it wasn't far off. I started at AM 1490 WSDS Suds Country in Ypsilanti.
You know, Jerry and I had this conversation, and these stories we're telling are radio-based because we're in. I'm sure they're true for other industries, though, now, too, where it's hard to find kids, people coming out of college or high school, who are willing to put in the effort and time to learn the skill, the trade, the craft, whatever it is.
That's why they call it entry level.
Exactly. And build up a resume or an experience in your industry that allows you to elevate. You talked about, I bet, AM 1490. What city was this in?
Ypsilanti.
At any given time, did you have 20 people listening to the radio station?
Gosh. 20, maybe one.
Jerry and I, when Spanglish was in for you last week, we were talking, I forget how we got on this topic, but I said, he was talking about, every time I fill in, people act like it's such a big deal, and they always say, that's cool, you get to work with Rob. And I hear this all the time. I had a buddy yesterday who came in town. I've not seen him in 30 years. It was a childhood friend, grew up around the corner from me.
Did he say it's cool you get to work with Casey?
Yes, that's exactly what he said. Here's what he said. I've not. This was a very, very good childhood friend of mine. He moved away in the 5th grade. I've not seen him since. He messages me out of the blue on Facebook. He goes, he lives in Washington State now. Have not seen the guy, contacted with him, anything. Since at least college, I haven't had any contact with him whatsoever. He messages me on Facebook and goes, Rob, I'm in town visiting my family. I get out of the airport, I get in a car, I turn on the car, first thing I hear, there you are. And he goes, I listened and loved your program. And so I said, well, hey, man, we got to get together. We met yesterday. It was great. We caught up, talked about all sorts of fun things. And before he left, he goes, the people I've been able to meet who I grew up with around here, whatever, other people, I told them I was meeting you, and they all listen, and they think it's cool. And I was like, it's so fascinating because, to me, I started on the internet, little internet stations, little stations like you're mentioning, and we knew there's like 20 people that are listening to this community affair show or this high school sports show or whatever, and I've never gotten out of that mindset. Even though
still doing that?
I know there are 50,000-ish people a day that come through the turnstiles with us, but in my mind,
I thought it was just you and I.
In my mind, it's just us and the 20 people.
It's just you and I here in the studio and entertaining each other, right?
It's crazy. But to get back to your point, your get off my lawn point, yeah, young people suck. They don't want to work. You said it very eloquently, Casey.
Not all of them, anyway. Okay, so 2 major Indiana cities made a list. And they're at the bottom of this list. And we'll talk about it coming up from 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Investigating an officer-involved shooting. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Indiana State Police are now looking into that fatal shooting from Monday night in Greenfield, where a man was shot and killed by police during a domestic dispute. The Indianapolis City County Council says sometime next week they will consider a proposal that extends the curfew hours for 15 to 17-year-olds who are in downtown Indy. Councilor Krista Carlino is stepping away from the Democratic caucus.
For me, lack of leadership, abuse of power, and an inequitable application of the caucus rules really led me to make this decision, and I feel that I'm justified in stepping away.
She made that announcement at last night's meeting, and Caitlin Clark is at a threat of missing her 6th straight game as the team gets ready for Golden State tomorrow. Clark did practice on Monday and will be drafting her All-Star team later on tonight. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Life Church. You know, we attend the Eagle Creek Life Church campus, but the great thing about Life Church is there's 4 campuses all across central Indiana. So no matter where you're at, there's a good chance Life Church is right near you. Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton. Plus, they've got great online services, so you can check them out online without ever having to leave your house, see what they're all about. Life Church is warm, they're welcoming. We love them. We call it home. They'd love the opportunity to meet and welcome you and your family. Check it out on the web, lifechurchin.com.
Lately, the market has been making some big moves, and not all in the right direction. If you've been watching the numbers and wondering what it all means for your retirement, you're not alone. At Howard Bailey Financial, we plan for times like this. The truth is, a volatile day on Wall Street can feel a lot different when you're getting closer to retirement. That's why right now is the right time to take a fresh look at your portfolio, and Howard Bailey can help. Are you taking on more risk than you realize? Are you diversified in a way that makes sense for where you are in life? Find out today with the help of our free Market Volatility Guide. Visit retirewithpurpose.com to download your free guide and learn more about what market shifts may mean for you. That's retirewithpurpose.com. Together, let's make sure your plan is built to weather whatever comes next. Howard Bailey Securities, LLC is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Please see disclosures at howardbailey.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
you, man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text SAVVY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text SAVVY to 42424. That's SAVVY to 42424.
Stay on your home court with Franciscan Health's top-rated cardiac heart care. No traveling, no waiting. Just award-winning heart care right where you live. Rated #1 in Indiana 2 years in a row for cardiology and cardiac care by Health Grades, Franciscan Health offers first-in-the-world treatments, cutting-edge technology, and unmatched compassion. Because we believe every heartbeat is extraordinary. Don't sit on the sidelines with heart trouble. Schedule a same-day cardiology appointment today at franciscanhealth.org/heartcare.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end. The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
You'll be one smart cookie when you try Bluebell Cookie Cake Ice Cream. A sweet cream ice cream loaded with chocolate chip cookie cake pieces and swirls of chocolate and vanilla icing. This cookie cake ice cream really takes the cake.
The good old days are being made right now. The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell Ice Cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
You can have the K's and Queens down in New Orleans.
Remember that time Henry Lee Summer was on our show and he's like, I listen to you guys all the time when I'm driving around town.
Good morning.
I never saw Henry Lee being a political junkie, but that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So Wallet Hub released this report. It is 2025's best and worst places to rent in America. They compare
25 best and worst.
Best and worst.
Okay, very
good. They compared more than 180 cities. They had 21 key indicators. And they were things like job market, recreation options, living experience. And guess what? A couple Indiana cities ranked towards the bottom of the list.
All right. I will go ahead and guess Indianapolis is one of them.
Yeah, came in at 155.
How many people are on the list?
180.
Okay, so number one is the worst, right?
No, number one would be the best.
Oh, number one is the best. So they had
180 cities.
Okay, so one is so they didn't do one list of best and one list of worst. They just did best to worst. Okay,
Correct.
very good. So Indianapolis was near the very bottom. All right, now the second one to me. Now, what was the standard to be included on this? Does it say like what to be a city that
cities, traffic congestion, job market, recreation options?
But I mean, is it like a certain size city, a certain?
Yeah, they typically do it with so much population within the radius.
Okay, because like I would say Gary, what I thought would have to be on the list, but I don't know if it's big enough. That would have to be, but I don't know. Who's the other one? Evansville, but I don't know if it's big enough. I don't know without knowing the total population, standard. Terre Haute. I don't know. What is it?
It's Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne? Fort Wayne was supposed to be kind of a city on the move. Like they got a minor league baseball stadium. They put a bunch of money into their downtown, but they say Fort Wayne sucks, huh?
They do.
Huh. Well, there you go.
I'm looking to see what the population criteria was. They also had Memphis, Detroit, Cleveland, New Orleans, and Tacoma, Washington at the bottom of the list.
This is interesting. We got into this a little bit on State House Happenings this morning with Abdul and Jim, and we were talking about the decline of Indianapolis. And That should matter to everyone, whether you live here or not, because it is the economic driver for the entire state. So like 30 or 35% of the revenue for the state comes out of the city of Indianapolis. And I don't know, that's what Merritt said. I have no reason to doubt that. But what you have seen, especially over the past 10 to 15 years, is the emergence of these donut county cities that are becoming less and less dependent upon, if you live there, you're less and less dependent upon ever having to go into the city of Indianapolis.
Correct.
So like if you live in Fishers, now other than some sporting event or special event that might be in downtown Indianapolis, you don't have to be here.
Many people are choosing not to come.
Well, it's got all the things, right?
Yeah.
You live there, you can stay there, you never have to leave. It's got all the things. Carmel's the same way.
It's got the shopping, the restaurants.
Greenwood,
Yeah.
you know. And so what is happening is these once smaller suburban cities are exploding in growth. They're exploding in population. They are getting, to some extent, the amenities, restaurants, et cetera, to match. And they're becoming their own isolated pocket if they desire to be, because they don't need the city of Indianapolis because it's a hellhole.
Roughly 46 million American households rent instead of owning. And rent has increased.
What number is that?
46 million. Wow. And rent prices have increased 5.1% year over year.
Yeah. And that's, when you couple that, now rent, when you think about how much home ownership, though, is actually larger, because rent prices, you're saying, are 5%. Home ownership, we laid out earlier, property taxes and everything else.
Yeah.
In many cases are
12%.
Yeah, 10 for homes this past year. You know, it's more than that, but that's unsustainable because people's wages, for the most part, are not elevating 5, 10, 15% a year, and so your buying power then becomes diluted if your wages are not at least increasing with the rate of housing and food inflation.
And it's being reported on X that Jerome Powell, the Fed, is going to be resigning over the next couple of days.
Who said that?
Well, a lot of different accounts are reporting it. Donald Trump.
Cat Turd?
Yeah, Cat Turd's one of them.
Well, he doesn't count. Like, is there a legit media person that's reporting that?
That's an interesting question. What do you consider legit these days?
Like, not Cat Turd. Like
a real account. Of course, Donald Trump has been calling for that.
Is CNBC reporting it? Is Fox Business reporting it? Is people with names and faces who are not online meme or GIF accounts, are they reporting it?
They have a real profile picture?
You know, Bloomberg, you know, somebody like that. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so Abdul is going to join us next.
Yeah, he's got a lot on the damage of the city of Indianapolis. He had a wild cheat sheet that came out yesterday that was on fire. We'll talk about all that and more.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It is 93 WIBC.
Oh, man, today's Hammer and Nigel show is so good, we're being told it's going to be on the radio. The party starts at 3, 93 WIBC.
Quality Supply and Tool, your premier supplier of construction equipment, tools, and supplies, is looking for drivers to serve out of their Indianapolis location. They're currently accepting applications for both CDL and non-CDL drivers. Quality Supply and Tool offers competitive pay to qualified applicants. Please contact Brian Myers for more information at 317-690-2016. That's Brian Myers at Quality Supply and Tool, 317-690-2016. 317-690-2016.
When people think sleep apnea, they think CPAP. Now at Advent, we do all we can to help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine. And most sleep apnea sufferers who come to Advent are going to be able to avoid a CPAP altogether. Our unique Advent approach using simple in-office solutions can get your nose working and throat open all under one roof. You see, the root of every snoring and obstructive sleep apnea problem lies within the throat, nose, or both. At Advent, we know when we get the nose and throat working properly, most snoring and sleep apnea problems will subside. And we have the most simple and convenient, ultra-effective in-office solutions that can do just that. And this is why people have traveled by planes, trains, and automobiles from corners of the world you would never think of to find the sleep apnea and snoring relief you won't find elsewhere.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
AdventKnows.com.
most insurance accepted.
Hey folks, Scott Wilson here from Wilson Farm Market, just 20 minutes north of Carmel. We're proud to bring you the freshest produce farmed right here in Indiana and across the Midwest. And don't miss our home-style fried chicken, scratch-made bakery, and a deli packed with ready-to-go favorites. Got a sweet tooth? Check out a variety of old-fashioned candies, the kind that brings back sweet memories from your childhood. At Wilson Farm Market, we're all about local freshness, friendly faces, and food that feels like home. Wilson Farm Market. That's Wilson Farm Market.
At Hendricks, our cancer care
is in the details.
When you are with us, and you have our time and you have our energy.
We have a wonderful team of highly trained oncologists, physical therapists, speech pathologists, dietitians.
Always making sure that the patient is the center of the care.
We have excellent nurse navigation that are skilled at identifying barriers to treatment,
as well as expertise from Mayo Clinic.
It is more personal care than just a number.
Visit hendricks.org/cancer.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken.
Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. The InventHelp data bank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
Tired of digging through noise to find real news? Go straight to WIBC.com. Local stories, statewide impact, national headlines, info that matters. When news breaks, WIBC.com is already on it. Stay on the know while you're on the go.
I am a patriot, and I love my country, because my country is all I know.
There was a piece I read last night, and I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed. Let's talk to the guy who wrote it. Kendall Casey Show, Rob. I'm Rob Casey's here. Look who it is. An author, broadcaster, owner and operator of IndyPolitics.org. Abdul-Hakim Shabazz, hello.
And by the way, Indy Politics here is technically like 16 years old.
Well, so I was going to tell you, I was talking with somebody about this the other day, in fact, that I remember when you left WXNT. What year was that?
2011.
Yeah. And I remember when you made Indy Politics from a hobby to your full-time thing, and sort of how there's a lot of people that are doing kind of what you do now. The Capitol Chronicle, Adam Wren, the Indy Reporter. A lot of people are doing that investigative, not traditional in some senses type of journalism, not certainly out of the big powerhouse media corporations, for lack of a better term. But you were basically the only guy doing that 15 years ago.
Yeah, we were. Hey, it's the pioneers who take the arrows. But actually, no. It kind of forced me to sort of reinvent myself, which I'm currently in the process of doing right now. But it became abundantly clear. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is permanent. Just ask our friends at Indiana Public Broadcasting right now with everything that's going on with those guys. I'm sure they'll all land because they're all really good, really sharp, really talented people. But you got to have a backup plan, like just in case if this doesn't work, what are we going to do? So that's why I always tell my wife, honey, at the end of the day, homeless is always an option.
Well, if the choice is homeless or living with you, the choice isn't always that clear, cut, and dry.
I think homeless is probably a better idea.
Okay, so part of what you do at Indy Politics is you have there's the free website, which is a lot of the news that goes on in the city, the state of Indiana, et cetera, and that's free for people to access. But then you also have what you call the cheat sheet, which is a subscription-based thing, and it is, what do you describe it as? The rumor, gossip,
it's
and
gossip, rumor, and blatant political innuendo.
Right, and so a couple times a month, usually, you put out several pages of
gossip, rumor, and blatant political innuendo.
Right, and a lot of times it will come true to some extent.
We got about a 90% accuracy rate at the end of the day.
Well, I was going to say, it's like reading the National Enquirer, but you get a lot of things correct. Yeah. A lot more than the Enquirer did. Yeah. And you had a piece yesterday on, you kind of ranked you put the statewide office holders into buckets.
Yes.
Right? And you put Rokita and you put Micah and Diego in the first bucket, and I would describe it as taking a flamethrower to those three individuals. I posted at Robin Kendall on Twitter. You can go see it if you want. A couple of excerpts from the Micah and Diego pieces, and I thought they were spot on about how, in the case of Diego. I mean, I'll just read a little bit of it if that's all right. I hope you don't mind me. I'm giving a little bit of it away for free here, but it's a little tease for the people who might want to subscribe. By the way, you can go over to indiepolitics.org and read that. So here is what you had to say about Diego Morales over at your cheat sheet subscription platform. You said, quote, Diego Morales, the only Secretary of State who seems to think the job description includes travel influencer, family employer, and procurement reformer, but only after he got caught. From day one, Morales has been a scandal magnet, no-bid contracts, hiring his brother-in-law, padding his resume, misrepresenting his military record, taking campaign money for personal reimbursements, and those luxurious conference trips that doubled as taxpayer-funded getaways. It's like he read the ethics manual backwards. And I read that, and I said, it's really hard, to look at that and go, well, can't agree with any of that.
And like I said, and the one thing about all three characters, whether it's Diego, whether it's Micah, whether it's Todd Rokita, when you boil it all down to 50 words or less, it's like, wow, this is some really messed up stuff here. Yeah, just put it all right there in black and white or gray and white, for people to see and people read and people can make up their own minds.
In the case of Diego, in the case of the Diego stuff, I blame the people in charge because everybody knows what he is, and nobody, including for some reason the people running against him, Shelton and David Shelton and Jamie Rittenauer, nobody will do anything about it. The only people who call him out are us. The State House doesn't seem to want any part of it. The governor doesn't want any part of it. The lieutenant governor lied repeatedly about being concerned about it and then showed up at a ball game with him.
When Rob Kendall and Destiny Wells are on the same page, something's messed up.
The behavior from Diego is inexcusable, and yet no one will stop him. The question, with the ability to do so, the question is why?
Well, part of it is, despite his flaws, or as he would call them, character traits, Diego is a duly elected, statewide elected official. And there's a procedure for him to be removed from office. Number one, if he's convicted of a felony, which is not completely out of the realm of this universal reality these days, or he resigns on his own. That's the only way that he can be removed from office. And that's done on purpose in the Indiana Constitution because you don't want people being thrown out at political whims and the political whim.
Sure.
So you can. It's like Joe Hogg said. You can call for him to step down. Okay, then what?
Yeah, my thing though is the India stuff is super serious. I think at this point it's reached a level of ridiculous. The public has a right to know who paid for that trip and what he did over there. The governor could put a lot of this to rest by instructing the state police to launch an investigation. They have all the powers to be able to find all the necessary information. Hey, look, if some well-meaning guy who had no dealings with Diego's office paid for it as Diego claims, great, then we're done here. Nothing to see, nothing to talk about. It's still weird he did the trip. It's still irresponsible he blew off a budget session. It's still bad optics. But there's a difference between not giving a damn about the taxpayers, which I'd line a bunch of those guys in the State House up under, and what could be potentially criminal behavior. We don't know what he did. We don't know who paid for it. That's really alarming, and we should be able to get to the bottom of it.
And the thing is, and I would say disclosure is always the best way to deal with this type of stuff. However, with Diego, if the trip was governmental, then there should be vouchers and records. If it was a private trip, it was paid for by a donor, then you're getting to some campaign finance related issues. And we all know what happens when people mess around with their campaign finance. Of course, end up in Thompson, Illinois.
But it seems like he's just picking and choosing what way he wants to go based on the moment. And you're right, he should have to pick a lane and declare it somewhere, and yet it doesn't seem to show up anywhere.
Well, that's why I'll be looking forward to next year's convention and see, because I'm still hearing rumblings that a lot of the delegates are The only reason they voted for Diego was because they were mad at Eric Holcomb and Holly Sullivan. Now it's a whole different ball of wax.
All right, let's talk about what you said about the Lieutenant Governor here, shall we? If Beckwith wants to be a policy player, he should either build a new coalition from the ground up or bow out gracefully and refocus his energy elsewhere. Because right now, he's not governing. He's auditioning. For what? We're not sure. But the stage lights are dim and the audience has moved on. It may not say exit on the door just yet, but Micah Beckwith has already been shown where it is. The question is whether he walks through it on his own or gets pushed aside by irrelevance. Oh, and the Rob Kendall, Micah Beckwith bromance is pretty much done. Just listen to WIBC. Again, hard to argue with any of that. We need the Bobs from Office Space to sit down with Micah and say, what would you say you do here?
I need to talk about your TPS reports.
I don't know what Micah does. Why does the office exist? Certainly to the tune of $3.5 million. He has no responsibilities. Braun's taken everything. Ag and Okra are apparently the last two he had left, and those
are pretty much gone.
So what are we paying for at this point? If you want to pay him to wander the halls on his own and cast tie-breaking votes in the Senate, cool, fine. He's constitutionally elected to do it. But the idea that he has all these staffers and all this money going to what? He goes to Pizza King and Subway and candy stores and jumps out of airplanes. Why are we paying for that?
Like I said, sometimes there's a phrase in law called re ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself, which means it really doesn't need an explanation.
Yeah.
And Micah Beckwith is re ipsa loquitur.
All right, I just wanted to give you a little free publicity on that. That made me chuckle last night. It was a long, you talked about some of the other statewide, and it was several pages, but I did want to give you some credit for that and tell everybody, you can read Abdul's fabulous musings, get your own cheat sheet subscription over at indypolitics.org.
Thank you, sir. And
that'll do it for us today. Thank you to you for listening. Without you, there is no us. You're the biggest and most important part of the equation. Thanks to Kevin. Thanks to Casey. Stick around. Tony Katz coming up next. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Hey, just a heads up, the Social Security Administration just announced they're now projected to run out of money 1 year earlier than expected. Your benefits could be cut by as much as 23%, and the average person could lose more than $100,000 in lifetime income. Discover how you could get every penny that's rightfully yours with a free Social Security analysis from Bill Demery, your retirement guy in Indy.
So, if you've saved more than $200,000 but have not yet filed for Social Security, schedule that free analysis right now. Just call 317-648-5120. This is not some off-the-shelf report. This is a customized analysis that could help you get every penny out of your Social Security. And it's free. Call Bill Demery, 317-648-5120. 317-648-5120. Bill Demery, your retirement guy.
I'm a grandson, a son. I'm an employee and a mentor. I'm a father to 2 beautiful kids and a husband to an amazing wife. And I have a substance use disorder. In other words, I'm living in recovery with an addiction. And now that you know, will you let it change how you see me? It's okay to see my addiction. But I want you to know, it's people choosing to see me as a person that changed my life.
See the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Kingdom Roofing Systems, they do more than just roofing. They believe in honoring those who've served. Kingdom Roofing Systems proudly participates in the Roof Deployment Project, which provides a brand new roof to a deserving U.S. veteran or active duty service member, absolutely free. You can help give back to those who have given so much. If you or someone you know has served, owns their home, and is in need of a new roof, apply today at kingdomroofingsystems.com/RDP. Kingdom Roofing Systems, building roofs, honoring heroes. Join Hammer and Nigel this Saturday from 11 to 1 at the grand opening of the all-new Hubler Toyota 8055 US 31 South. Hubler's got you covered for 200,000 miles, now available on all new Toyotas. Join Hammer and Nigel this Saturday.
Fill your tank. Don't drain your wallet. Sam's Club lets you save time at the pump with Scan and Go checkout at Sam's Club fuel stations. Just scan the QR code on the pump and pay. Visit your local Sam's Club today.
Make summer nights unforgettable with Indie Decorative Concrete. Get 50% off a stunning fire pit with their best stamped concrete patio package. Offer ends September 1st. IndieDecorativeConcrete.com.
On the level, on the go. 93 WIBC Indianapolis.
Coming up.
We are actively looking, actively working.
And that rain was heavy at times this morning.
Whether it is gangs or drugs that were just running wild.
Man, I just hope they have a wonderful time. Hopefully this...